This is Adelaide's FIVEaa.
Sunny and 35 today with the 6 o'clock news. I'm Mel Usher.
Had a bingle driving to work? Contact FIVEaa Panel Services at premierpanel.com.au.
More rapid antigen test collection points will open in SA today. They're located at Port Adelaide and Mount Gambier. Close contacts are eligible for 2 free tests but must register first. Meantime, opening hours for some testing sites will change today due to the hot weather. The majority will close at 11 a.m. and reopen at 6 p.m. You can check the SA Health website for details. Premiers and Chief Ministers are meeting today to discuss strategies to ensure our schools can weather the Omicron storm. Nine's Lucy Gray reports.
Establishing a plan to sustain face-to-face learning in schools will be top of the agenda at today's meeting of National Cabinet. Providing free access to rapid antigen tests and improving ventilation are among the measures on the table. If schools close, an additional 5% of the Australian workforce could be taken out of action. Prime Minister Scott Morrison says ensuring schools stay open is key to keeping the economy moving. The vaccine rollout and the state of our health systems will also be discussed.
The CFS will be on red alert today. Hot and gusty weather conditions have prompted a number of fire bans. Severe warnings are in effect across the Mount Lofty Ranges, Lower Eyre Peninsula and Lower South East. A vehicle has been torched in a car yard at Nailsworth. The alarm was raised at Main North Renault around 1 a.m. A man was arrested a short time later. Another international sports star has been told he's not welcome in Australia if he isn't fully vaccinated. Nine's Isabella Stokowski reports.
Surf legend Kelly Slater hasn't revealed whether or not he's vaccinated ahead of the World Surf League Championships in WA and here in Victoria. A stern warning has been issued from Federal Sports Minister Richard Colbeck. He says Slater has no chance of getting into the country if he is unvaccinated. Slater has reportedly said he's not anti-vaccine but anti-mandate. He has supported Novak Djokovic also on social media, saying maybe Stockholm Syndrome can now change its name to Melbourne Australia Syndrome.
The United States is boosting its defence aid to Ukraine amid crisis talks to ease tensions with Russia. Russia has deployed thousands of troops at the border with the country, but denies it's planning to invade. US Secretary of State Antony Blinken says there will be diplomatic efforts to prevent an attack.
We continue to bolster Ukraine's ability to defend itself and make clear the costs that the United States and Europe will impose on Moscow if it rejects the diplomatic path that we've laid out and proceeds with an unwarranted, unprovoked, unacceptable invasion or destabilization of Ukraine.
Britney Spears is returning to court in California, still fighting her father as the financial fallout from her 13-year conservatorship continues. Nine's US correspondent Amelia Adams.
He was suspended from his famous daughter's conservatorship last year, but Jamie Spears is attempting to have Britney cover the legal bills. In response, Britney's lawyers claim her father took more than $50 million from her estate over the course of 13 years and even used some of his earnings to pitch his own reality TV show. The court documents state Jamie should therefore pay his own legal fees. It comes amid a spiralling family feud, with Britney's lawyers threatening legal action against her little sister, Jamie Lynn, who is promoting a new book in which she describes growing up with her erratic, paranoid pop star sister.
Now to FIVEaa Sport.
If the windy weather has left your gutters full of debris, give Ken a call. Ken Hall Plumbers.
And it's good morning to Jace Kemp.
And a very good morning to you, Mel. To tennis first, and Aussie John Millman has suffered a straight sets loss to third seed Alexander Zverev at the Australian Open last night. While reigning women's champion Naomi Osaka admits she's been inspired by Nick Kyrgios at this year's tournament.
It's not an Australian Open if you don't watch a night match of Kyrgios on John Cain. Like, this guy is literally always on that court. But yeah, I thought his serve was awesome. I don't think my serve percentage was as good as his, but it was really nice to see him back and like having the crowd so hyped up.
To cricket, and Glenn Maxwell and the Melbourne Stars have created Big Bash history. The skipper smashing a record unbeaten 154 off just 64 balls, as the Stars soared to 273, the highest ever BBL total.
Works it round the corner. One of the great Big Bash hundreds from Glenn Maxwell. His second for the season of 41 deliveries, the second quickest of all time. And that man right there is a pure entertainer.
Yeah, amazing stuff there. In the end, Melbourne thrashed Hobart by 106 runs. The Hurricanes now face the Strikers this Friday night in an elimination final. Finally, in the EPL this morning, Leicester played Tottenham, while Manchester United is in action against Brentford. And that's the FIVEaa Sport.
Now the FIVEaa forecast, sunny and 35 today, mostly sunny tomorrow, 35 as well. Saturday partly cloudy, 34. Right now it's 24 degrees. More news as it happens on FIVEaa.
Gliderall Garage Doors, adding strength, safety and style to South Australian homes for over 40 years. Gliderall.com.au.
You're listening to FIVEaa Breakfast. David Penberthy and Will Goodings.
6:06, good morning to you. Welcome to Thursday on FIVEaa Breakfast. Thursday, of course, means Matt Abraham time. First chat with Matt this year, looking very much forward to that. We've got 2 elections in the offing in the first part of the year. Matt's analysis is going to be a critical part of the program and a critical part of the debate that takes place here in South Australia. And can't wait to get that started today. It happens after 7:30, so make sure you stick around for Matthew Abraham a little bit later. We're going to flash back with Michael Smith talking about the Entertainment Centre and its impact on entertainment and our capacity to attract acts to South Australia. We'll do that after 7 o'clock today. The UK's effectively declared the pandemic's going to be over by March 24. Yeah, and there's no
March 24.
There's no qualification on that. Basically, all rules, including the need to actually isolate if you've got COVID, ends March 24 that they've announced overnight. We'll play a whole suite of audio that from experts that are discussing that very decision after 7 o'clock this morning. And also, after 8:30, imagine being a father or a father-to-be where your wife's going to give birth at the Lowell McEwen, where I think you get to turn up for 2 minutes whilst the baby is on its way, and then you leave a few minutes after. Actually, no, it's a little bit more generous than that. You get 4 hours. 4 hours after you can be there, and then you're escorted out. But you're only able to turn up when things are getting very serious in the birthing suite. I've not been there. David Penberthy's done it 4 times now. How would you feel about a time limit on when you can turn up and your participation in the birth of your own children?
This is good morning, Will. Good morning, listeners. I reckon this is the absolute living proof that there is a certain category of faceless, pen-pushing, bureaucratic idiot who thinks they've got some God-given right to lord it over people's private lives. I think this is the most extraordinary example of bureaucratic overreach we've seen throughout the pandemic, and we've seen a fair bit of it. Most of it's been well intended, but the extent to which this intrudes into people's privacy, up to the point of determining the extent to which the mother is in labour, down to the centimetre level.
Yeah,
you know, this is they've actually quite literally, the people at the Northern Area Health Network have got the ruler out for this one. Now, the idea that in what for a lot of people is, well, I think I would hazard a guess, in most cases, there's always some stress, and there's often heaps of stress during the birthing process. And people, mothers, generally want the person that they love the most by their side.
Yeah.
And the idea that some faceless committee has come up with a rule, and the rule is, to be completely candid, that the guy or the female partner, because there's plenty of lesbian mums, there's other mums who are single mums who get a female friend to be their companion. Sure. But in most cases, we're talking about the dad. Doesn't really matter who we're talking about. Whoever the pregnant woman, the woman in labour, wants to have by their side. The rule is that person can only go in there to support them when the mother is 4 centimetres dilated. That's the actual written rule by these creeps on that committee. Like, seriously, how do they even come up with that? What makes them think they've got the right to do that to people?
Because there's a culture where there is no cruelty that is too great so as not to be eclipsed when you say it's for the purpose of preventing COVID.
I find it staggering. I mean, what are you meant to do? Fill in a form and you hit the magic 4 centimetre mark too? Now look, keep breathing.
Yeah.
You're at 4 centimetres.
Yep.
I'll go and get Gary out of the corridor.
Sorry, Gary, you QR coded?
Hang on, no. Well, no, hang on, we're not sure. Is it 4 centimetres?
Yeah, no,
Maybe
Gary,
it's
back to the car
3.8.
park. Yeah.
You just go out and stand there by the Coke machine for another half an hour.
Then they turn the egg timer over and say, all right, when this is empty, you need to be out of here.
It is utterly unbelievable. I, for the life of me, I cannot see how a group of people actually sat down and came up with this policy. Like, if it doesn't get torn up by 9 a.m. this morning...
Yeah,
and you know what's heartening? Is 22,000 people have signed the Facebook petition against it. 22,000. That's gone from 0 to 100, that petition, in record time. Although, I see on the Tysers website, there's a poll, do you think this policy's gone too far? 91% say yes.
Mm.
Well, what trouble with me? 9% say no. These people have drunk the Kool-Aid. Like, what is the health threat?
Well,
what is the health threat from the husband being there?
I'm sure
being there?
people that are genuine experts have put their minds together and worked this out, but I can't see how, given that you're a close contact if you've been exposed to them for 15 minutes, that there's any difference between 4 hours and just being there the entire time, frankly. If you're going to bring it in, you're allowed to breathe there for 4 hours anyway. Yeah. It feels like it's been Christmas Day every day for 2 years for people that love making rules.
Oh, yeah, for sure. Like the laminated sign in the tea room saying,
yes,
caution, contents of urn may be hot. You know, the people with the laminators, they've had a big 2 years.
They're never going to come back from this.
Nah, well, you know, they're going to look back on it as the golden era. Well, the people who worry about stuff that could happen.
12 after 6. Interested in your thoughts. We're going to speak with the mum after 8:30 today. But look, you might have a family member who's been through this or they're about to be. We'd love to hear from you. 8223 0000. You can text us on the Telstra Storm Out Barker text line as well. On all manner of things. Love to hear from you over the course of the morning. We'll get into the news cycle right after this.
This is Brad. Brad loves his aircon set to a frosty 16 degrees. But Brad has a problem. He gets the gilts having it on all day. Well, Brad, save your gilts for giving the family frostbite. Because NRG Solar gives you electricity guilt-free. Just guilt-free cold air all day long.
Electricity guilt-free with NRG.
Maybe I'll sing next time, Brad. NRGsolar.com.au.
This is the sound of Julian's bargain price vacuum with deep express suction. This is the sound of Julian trying to fix his bargain price vacuum, which infuriates him deeply. Yes, this is the sound of bargain regret. When it comes to the important stuff, like insurance, don't risk it. Go to Amy instead, who offers great value cover you won't regret. Amy does. Before buying insurance issued by FIVEaa Limited trading as Amy, read the PDS at amy.com.au. TMD also available.
This summer, we're farewelling the iconic mainline drive-in cinema. Pull up for a final feature and join their last summer of big screen movies. Show the kids a piece of history, bring some friends, or even the dog for a night of nostalgia with classic Sundays.
This is going to be great. Now, this Sunday they have Jumanji. I love that film. The classic fantasy adventure comedy starring Dwayne Johnson, Kevin Hart and Jack Black, followed by the beloved Grease on Sunday the 30th.
Yeah, you can relive your past drive-in nights while you can, from the high school dates to the family road trips. Just $25 for a car of up to 5 people. That's probably basically $100 if you're going to the cinema.
Yeah. Seeing Grease at the drive-in is almost like, that's life imitating art.
Yeah.
Because so much of the movie Grease is at the drive-in.
As it was meant to be seen.
The song, stranded at the drive-in, feeling like a fool. Anyway, gates open at 7:30 p.m, that is. Get in early. Don't get there 12 hours early. Gates open at 7:30 p.m. Get in early. Grab your choc top, popcorn, all your favourite movie snacks at Mickey's Diner, like hot chips, burgers and so much more, then settle in for an unforgettable night.
Yep. Farewell the mainline drive-in at Jeps Cross. Book online at wallace.com.au or download the Wallace app.
Wavell Mitsubishi and Southern Mitsubishi have amazing deals on new, demo and used vehicles, with over 250 cars arriving between now and the end of Feb. The only problem is we need to make room for the rebuild of the Wavell Mitsubishi showroom, so every car must go. All new Mitsubishi cars come with 10 years warranty and 10 years capped price servicing. Get in touch with the team at Wavell Mitsubishi and Southern Mitsubishi, located in Morfett Vale, driven by Australian Motors, LVD 80.
9 News is the one that's always been live and local. 9 News, made in Adelaide for Adelaide.
Gliderroll Garage Doors' new Platinum and Native Series sectional doors are here. Gliderroll.com.au.
You're listening to 5AA Breakfast. David Penberthy and Will Goodings.
15 minutes after 6, time for the news headlines on this Thursday, the 20th of January. As revealed in our Breaking at 8 yesterday, Premier Stephen Marshall has written to the Australian Competition and Consumer Commission, deeply concerned by suggestions that there's been interference in our state's rapid antigen test supply. The ACCC is investigating. Everyone who could deny it did deny it yesterday, including the federal. I saw Scott Morrison say the Commonwealth has not seized any of these tests. And I was like, my reading of the Tigers reporting yesterday was the allegation was against state governments, not the Commonwealth.
Yeah, that's right.
So I don't know what he was denying.
The article was solid too. Like, they had about 3 different businesses in there saying they had orders in, and then they'd be told, oh, actually, no, that's not coming anymore because it's gone to New South Wales or Victoria.
There is a story there. There's some substance
100%.
to it. The Premier has also ordered an urgent review into birthing restrictions at the Lyell McEwen Hospital. We've just spoken about this. Extraordinary 22,000 people have signed a petition to change the rules that were implemented by the Northern Adelaide Local Health Network. So you support people, those people who would be in the birthing suite, you know, a father, husband, partner, whoever it might well be, cannot be with a pregnant woman until she reaches active labour or when the cervix dilates past 4 centimetres. Then the partner has to leave the hospital 4 hours post-birth and cannot return until discharge. You basically, at that point, become the Uber. Stephen Marshall was asked SA Health to investigate. Really sad story that broke yesterday during the program after 8 o'clock. Charlize Mutton has been remembered as a beautiful, gentle and loving spirit at a candlelight vigil outside her school in northern New South Wales. Hundreds of people gathered at Tweed Heads Public School last night to pay their respects, laying down toys, flowers and cards at the school gates. The 9-year-old's body was found inside a barrel after she went missing in the Blue Mountains. Her accused murderer, 31-year-old Justin Stein, has been refused bail and will face court again in March.
Unbelievable.
Barbaric.
Imagine, though, the whole circumstances surrounding that, because this girl, it sounds like she was living a really good life on the Gold Coast with her grandma. Her grandma was a primary carer. She was doing really well at school. It sounds like she'd been taken out of some toxic environment, and God, imagine having that on your conscience. But it sounds like some well-meaning people thought, well, maybe she should see her mum.
Yeah.
Despite whatever problems there've been in the past with this bloke. Just staggering.
Another sports star's chance of competing on Australian shores is in doubt. The federal sports minister has warned surfing legend Kelly Slater has no chance of entering the country for the upcoming World Surf League Championship if he isn't vaccinated against COVID. Well, he might be some chance. You get to hang around for a while. The 11-time world champion hasn't revealed his vaccination status. That's usually a telltale sign.
Listen to my body.
I don't know what the World Surf League administration is like. I don't know if they're like Tennis Australia and they give you a bit of a wink and say, oh, yeah, I know. They're saying all that about vaccination, but we know a guy. You'll be right.
Yeah.
Jump on the plane.
Yeah, they'd probably have a bit more of a Bill and Ted's Big Adventure vibe than the stuffed shirts at Tennis Australia.
Batches of 2 popular butter brands are being recalled due to potential microbial contamination. You don't want that on your toast.
No, you don't.
Varieties of Devondale and Woolworths brand butters are affected. Details can be found on the Food Standards Australia website. And the US is boosting its defence aid to Ukraine amid crisis talks to ease tensions with Russia. Russia has deployed thousands of troops at the border with the country, but denies it's planning to invade. US Secretary of State...
Just hanging around.
Yeah, they're just doing exercises.
Looking. Don't mind us. Just looking.
US Secretary of State Antony Blinken says there will be diplomatic efforts to prevent an attack.
We continue to bolster Ukraine's ability to defend itself and make clear the costs that the United States and Europe will impose on Moscow if it rejects the diplomatic path that we've laid out and proceeds with an unwarranted, unprovoked, unacceptable invasion or destabilization of Ukraine.
I know we spent most of the last 4 years on this show bagging Donald Trump. Having said that, Joe Biden, I think his one great quality, he's not Donald Trump. Having said that, do you think that he's so inept and doddery that every demagogue in the world is going to use the next 4 years to go on a bit of a mad spree, knowing that the leader of the free world might be having a nap?
If the US was North Korea, we'd all suspect that Joe Biden had disappeared a long time ago. And there was an elaborate Weekend at Bernie's style ruse to convince us that he was still alive.
They've stuck a broomstick handle up his back.
Yes is the answer to your question.
He's like Leonid Brezhnev waving on the balcony in 1985.
Yes. Well, what's he done? One press conference?
One.
To be fair, he announced the N95 mask thing yesterday. I did see that, but geez, they've been few and far between. And you know what? Every demagogue in the world saw the calamitous withdrawal out of Syria. I'm sorry, Afghanistan.
Yeah.
Where
exactly.
Where Joe rolled out of bed one morning and said we need to get the boys home, and 20 years worth of work collapsed in an instant. I don't think he's taken seriously by these kind of people around the world, and that's what's happening on the border with the Ukraine at the moment. Hey, you know what's weird? Remember that Saturday rain we talked about? It doesn't exist on the forecast anymore.
It's vanished.
Top of 30.
Well, it's moved. It's just moved, hasn't it? To Sunday.
Yeah, but even then it's moved and gotten a lot smaller.
Yeah.
35 the expected top today. Friday 35 as well. So really hot and sort of fairly windy days over the course of the next 40 hours. Saturday, remember, at the start of the week, there was potentially up to 20 mils of rain. In fact, I think you got up to 35 was the maximum prediction. Now it's zip, zero, nada. Top of 34. Sunday will have up to 10 mils of rain. Both those days had up to 20 previously, so that gives you some indication of how much things have changed. Monday will be up to 4 mils of rain and 29. Tuesday, 28 and 2 mils. There will be rain in South Australia, though. Some places forecast to get 100 mils over the weekend. So it's just going to miss Adelaide.
Stick around for 6:45, folks. We'll find out if it's going north of the city or south of the city. I think we're going north.
Yes.
You think?
Oh, yeah. Well, yeah, because it's those places inland that can get the 100 mil mark.
Yeah.
We will get into that. We'll speak with the police, and we'll catch up with Tom Wren at the Oz Open right after this.
Make 2022 the year you take the first step to great retirement living with FIVEaa. Now is the perfect time to start thinking about the kind of life you'd like to lead. One that lets you discover new talents and create new friends while staying active and connected. The First Step team at FIVEaa are here to help you start the journey, because once you've made the move, you'll wish you'd done it sooner. Search FIVEaa First Step today.
No one likes to wait, especially if you're waiting for something really amazing, like a new Mazda. Lucky, you won't have to wait too long at Mawson Lakes Mazda. Right now, you'll find new stock and demos right across the range, which means there's no compromise. You'll get everything you want and love in your new Mazda. Get behind the wheel of your dream Mazda sooner. Mawson Lakes Mazda, just a short drive from the city.
Leon here. I trust Zen Energy to help keep me cool in the summer. Adelaide's own Zen Energy is resetting how we do renewable energy in Australia. As we know, solar is the best way to reduce our carbon footprint, build a better world, and save on power bills. It's not too late to access government rebates, so get in quick before prices increase. Contact our friends at Zen Energy and tell them Leon sent you for an even better offer. Visit zenenergy.com.au. That's zenenergy.com.au.
Don't let car trouble put the brakes on your adventures. FIVEaa now offers free FIVEaa roadside assist for a year with every new comprehensive car policy purchased before February 28, 2022. That's 24/7 assistance all year round. So go with FIVEaa, the go-to insurance for retirees. Call 13 50 50 or go online today. FIVEaa. Get set, go. T's and C's apply. FIVEaa is an authorised representative of the product issuer AAI Limited. Read the PDS and TMD. Call for copies.
Here at FIVEaa, we're all about supporting local. You can't get more local than Country Blinds. With manufacturing in the Adelaide Hills, showrooms at Unley, Henley Beach Road and Mount Barker, nobody knows local like Country Blinds.
Right now, SA Ambulance Service has never been busier.
000 ambulance emergency.
So I was fishing on a boat and the hook is stuck in my nose.
But every day, 000 receives more and more trivial calls,
My husband fell down and he's broken his big toe.
stopping them from getting to the real emergencies.
I've got a really bad jaw pain from brushing my teeth too hard.
For non-emergencies, visit the Health Direct website and save 000 for when it matters.
You want to save water in your garden. You need to save water in your garden. Garden Grove have everything to make it happen. Mulch to hold the water in, soil wetters to retain moisture, and a complete range of home irrigation, sub-irrigation, drippers, the works. Best brands, latest products, and the right advice to help you get it done. Be water-wise in your garden. Get into Garden Grove.
Garden Grove, the garden that I want.
Garden Grove Catalogue Sale. On now. Golden Grove Road, Golden Grove.
FIVEaa Breakfast is streaming live right now. To watch, simply head online to FIVEaa Facebook or search FIVEaa on YouTube.
Gliderall Garage Doors, adding strength, safety and style to South Australian homes for over 40 years. Gliderall.com.au.
You're listening to FIVEaa Breakfast. David Penberthy and Will Goodings.
25 minutes after 6, Tom read in a moment. Stack of text, though, coming through on the Telstra Store Mount Market text line.
One here, hi lads. I think a lot of people have had enough of the health bureaucrats. They're so detached from the norm, it's embarrassing. We've all done our bit. Time to get things back to normal. Thanks for that, Joe. Rob says, I'm scratching my head a bit. They couldn't have been any more close contacts in order to create the baby. We probably snuggled in bed when Mum went into labour, but then Dad has to stay away. There's shades of Yes Minister about this. One here from Ben in the Bay, and this echoes what the opposition was saying last night after the Premier ordered a review. On the maternity issue, doesn't the Premier need to be stronger? He said this would be reviewed. He should use his authority to get things fixed immediately. That's from Ben in the Bay. And one here that puts this in a broader context. To top that off, gents, every fortnight I drop my wife off now for 6 hours of chemotherapy, and I'm not allowed to go into the hospital at all anymore. It's been fine for the last 2 years, but for those that need support, they don't get the support they need anymore. See, that's, again, like, how many people are in that situation? And would the presence of that very kind gentleman who sent us that text message, mate, if you're listening, I don't think you're going to overwhelm the health system by being there holding your wife's hand.
Geez, we've so easily dismissed compassion as a variable in decision-making the last 2 years, haven't we?
I think it's because of some of the people, like the people on this committee. Remember Nurse Ratched?
Yes.
In One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest?
Yeah.
There's a sort of weird culture of like, oh, believe me, this hurts me as much as it hurts you. Yeah. Well, no, it bloody doesn't.
No.
Like, there's some people who just get off on this sort of stuff. It's disturbing insight into human psychology.
Yep. So's tennis at times, and let's head to the Australian Open. If the windy weather has left your gutter full of debris, give Ken a call. Ken all plumbers.
Oh, that was superb.
Tom Wren, good morning to you.
Nice little segue there, Will. I love it. Morning, boys. How are you?
We're good, thanks, Tom. How are you, mate?
Not bad. Looking forward to today. A couple of big Aussies in action. We've got Nick Kyrgios, who's playing tonight against Daniil Medvedev. I think Medvedev's the man to beat. Look, you'd expect Medvedev to win, but Nick Kyrgios, if he brings his A game, anything can happen. I watched him yesterday. I was lucky enough to call his doubles. He's an entertainer. He was wild yesterday with Thanasi Kokkinakis. So that'll be a big one tonight. Kyrgios up against Medvedev. Alex Demon all playing today. Sam Stosur's in her last single ever campaign at the Australian Open. She's 37. Been a great player. So there's some really good matches on today, which should be exciting.
Hey, Brenny, have I been living under a rock, or is this whole Cristiano Ronaldo celebration and everyone making a sound that sounds like they're booing thing been going on for a long time? Because I wasn't familiar with it.
It's the first year or first time I've ever heard it. I'm not sure whether or not Kyrgios, he must be a Ronaldo fan, but it's that Sue celebration. And you would have seen it where Ronaldo scores and he jumps and turns around as he scores and, does the power stance. Well, I've never seen Kyrgios actually do that on court, but it's in honour of that, essentially. So it sounds like they're booing, but it's basically a takeoff of that.
Because it's confused a few of the players. I saw Andy Murray saying he thought he was getting booed for a large part of the game. Is it large groups of people, or is it like the fanatics or something that are doing it?
No, it's large groups. Like it's happening, sort of on a lot of the courts, and it's just caught on like wildfire. So,
hey Tom, can I ask, is the crowd worst behaved or more unruly at this Open than you've ever seen it? Because it looks to me, and I'm not a massive tennis fan, I must admit. I've watched probably half an hour all up. I watch 10 minutes and then I watch something else. But just watching it, it looks like people over there have gone a bit mental from 2 years in lockdown and they've all come out going bananas.
There might be a bit of that. And I think as well, when you see Kyrgios matches, he kind of encourages that. So when he plays at John Cain Arena or Court 3, that's the people that can just have the day passes. And so when you get, the main courts, Margaret Court Arena, Rod Laver Arena, it's more of a corporate crowd. They've obviously paid a bit more money. They've paid a bit more money.
Suits.
All the suits. Yep. All the people that have, probably dressed up and, put in a real effort for it. Whereas the ones in the day passes, particularly when it gets to twilight, they've had a day in the sun, they've had a few sherbets, and they're ready to go crazy. And Nick Kyrgios loves that. So he's got a 10-3 record at John Cain Arena. When he plays at Rod Laver, he's 1-4. He likes the wild.
Yeah.
Sort of...
He was calling him a zoo the other night, wasn't he? He said, you guys would like a zoo in his post-match presser. Hey, one other thing, mate. Did Channel 9 manage to bleep out the F word when he said it live?
I don't know if they did. Because, there's no delay, so I'm not sure if unless they turned it around, but it would have gone live, I'm pretty sure.
I'm not going to crack at your network. I'm more curious. I think it's pretty bad that you say something, you use drop the F-bomb in your very first sentence at a press conference. It does show that a certain type of person can't get through any sentence without using foul language these days. But good on you, Tom.
Thanks, boys. Great work.
5AA News. We'll be back with more in just a moment.
This is Adelaide's 5AA.
Sunny and 35 today with the 6:30 news. I'm Mel Usher.
Had a bingle driving to work? Contact premierpanel.com.au. RAA approved crash repairer.
An infectious diseases expert says it's likely we'll need regular COVID booster shots, but they won't be rolled out every 3 months forevermore. A number of state governments, including ours, has reduced the gap between second and third doses to 3 months. Professor Robert Boyer says that makes sense for now, but in the future it could be more like an annual flu shot.
I don't think we're going to go to 3-month boosters, but maybe once every 12 months, usually quite possibly at the same time as we have a flu jab in March, April, May.
There are calls for schools to facilitate the rollout of COVID vaccines when Term 1 begins. Premiers and Chief Ministers are meeting today to discuss a comprehensive plan to ensure schools can stay open amid the spread of Omicron. Strategies such as improving ventilation and providing free access to RATs will be considered. Independent Education Union Acting Secretary Pam Smith says vaccines should also be made available.
Schools have a long and successful history of providing on-site vaccinations, and I think our members would be very open to anything which facilitates the vaccine access for 5 to 11-year-olds and also to encourage the older students.
Another RATs collection point in the metro area will come online this morning. Osborne House is the location for the Port Adelaide Enfield Council area. There's also a new collection point in Mount Gambier. And today's hot weather means many testing sites will shut up shop late morning. Most will reopen at 6 p.m. Andrew Bogut says he won't be silenced after being threatened by the Victorian Electoral Commission with prosecution. The former NBA star says he received the letter after posting a Vote Them Out ad critical of both the Andrews government's pandemic law and the crossbenchers who backed it. Hundreds of people have gathered at an emotional candlelit vigil for Charlize Mutton. Nine's Jessica Millward is at the New South Wales-Queensland border.
Beautiful tributes have been left at the gates of Tweed Heads Primary School for Charlize Mutton, a bright, bubbly and friendly 9-year-old girl. Charlize, who lives with her grandmother in Coolangatta on the Gold Coast, was holidaying in New South Wales with her mother. Her stepfather, her mother's fiancé, has been charged with her murder. Charlize's teachers spoke at a candlelit vigil, expressing just how loved she was and what a positive member of the school she has been. There were hugely emotional scenes as the 9-year-old school friends laid flowers and handwritten notes to pay tribute to Charlize.
The UK Prime Minister is urging his colleagues to wait until a report into lockdown gatherings is handed down before calling for him to resign. Boris Johnson is again apologising for attending the Downing Street function in May 2020 as he faces more questions in a fiery session of British Parliament. The Conservative leader is slamming other MPs for passing judgment before an investigation is complete.
As I said to the House last week, I apologise sincerely for any misjudgments that were made, but she must contain her impatience, Mr. Speaker, and wait for the inquiry next week before she draws any of the conclusions that she's just asserted.
Now Now turning to 5AA Sport.
If the windy weather has left your gutters full of debris, give Ken a call. Ken Hall Plumbers.
And what's happening in the tennis, Jace Kemp?
Oh, there's plenty going on, Mel, and that's where we'll start. John Millman's Australian Open campaign is over after a straight sets loss to Alexander Zverev. The third seed admitting he didn't expect to win in such comprehensive fashion.
Obviously happy to beat John the way I did, because for me he's always a very tricky opponent, so happy to only lose 8 games. And I feel like, the third set for me was on a very high level.
Aussie Alexander Vukic also lost in straight sets. To cricket, and the Melbourne Stars have posted the biggest total in Big Bash history, smashing a record 2 for 273 against the Hurricanes last night. Glenn Maxwell also rewrote the history books with an unbeaten 154 off just 64 deliveries.
Carves it away, 150 for Glenn Maxwell. A wonderful innings of power, timing, skill and just talent.
The Stars thumping the Hurricanes by 106 runs. Still on cricket, and local star Travis Head has opened up on the Ashes celebrations, which were broken up by police. Head telling the 5AA Sports Show the incident was blown out of proportion.
I was obviously one involved in it. It's been pumped up a fair bit, to be honest, and I think you've seen the way that the guys reacted or the guys conducted themselves. It was actually nice to have a beer with the opposition, and when you finish a game, so we got back at like 1:30. We actually weren't too deep in the celebration, so it wasn't too bad, but it was probably the right time to go for a sleep.
Lastly, in the EPL, Leicester City is up 1-0 against Tottenham, and that's the 5AA Sport.
Now the 5AA forecast, a top of 35 today and sunny, mostly sunny tomorrow 35, Saturday partly cloudy 34. Right now it's 24 degrees. More news as it happens on 5AA.
Gliderroll Garage Doors new Platinum and Native Series sectional doors are here. Gliderroll.com.au.
You're listening to 5AA Breakfast. David Penberthy and Will Goodings.
24 minutes to 7. Matt Abraham after 7:30. After 7, we'll wrap some of the stories of the morning, including the UK moving towards a post-pandemic reality after March 24. You won't even have to isolate if you get COVID. That's how close they are to saying there's no rules anymore. You
don't have to isolate if you get a cold, do you?
Exactly right, and that's literally what you'll hear the Health Secretary say after 7 o'clock this morning. Also talk about the issues 5G. The 5G spectrum is causing for flights in the United States. Is in the US. It's led to some international carriers cancelling flights to some place in the United States where they've installed 5G towers for use for your phone.
What does the signal interfere with planes?
It interferes with the instrument they have that tells you how close you are to the ground. It's a pretty important.
See, I'm not a pilot, but I reckon that's one bit one bit of gear.
Well,
I mean, I know the other day I was saying I'd like to turn off all the safety features in my car,
but not a plane.
Not in a plane.
No, it's because it's important to have some space between you and the ground.
Yeah,
unless
totally.
the wheels are down.
Yeah, there's when you get to cruising altitude, you're at like 30,000 feet. That's the number of feet between you and the ground.
That's right. Not a problem in Europe, interestingly, because they've done this a little bit differently. But we'll talk about that after 7.
The worst of all the safety features, I reckon, is lane assist. Have you got that in your car?
I hate lane assist.
I've worked out how to turn it off on the Twigger. Whoever invented lane assist, I don't know, maybe they work for the local area health service, the northern local area health service.
Yeah.
Like, presumably, if you're a 53-year-old man who's been driving for more than 3 decades, you know pretty much how to stay in the lane. Don't you reckon? I don't need the car to go ding, 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 ding.
Yeah.
And how do you get up, like you go up Greenhill Road, like go up to Summertown, where by definition you have to drift sometimes onto the white line.
Oh, and
the car's going berserk.
The car basically doesn't compute.
Yeah.
I hate that stupid thing.
Yeah,
it's a good point. You're right. Fewer features on cars, more on planes is our official 5AA breakfast position.
That's our policy.
Speaking of things people hate, it turns out Bono doesn't really like the name U2.
And of the suggestions, it wasn't that it jumped out at us as the name we really were looking for, but it was the one that we hated the least. And what we loved about it was that it was not obvious from the name what this band would sound like or be about. It felt fresh in that sense. And at that age, I think we understood that we just did not want to be lumped in with other artists and with other genres. We felt that this was just after punk. Punk was sort of starting to dissipate, and we just thought, okay, this is a moment to start something fresh. So it was the one we chose, and we didn't really love it.
Yeah, and he still doesn't love it. He goes on to say in a podcast overnight. I don't know how hard it is. You've come up with a band name before, quite infamously. I don't know how hard it is. So we're just going to do a little quick experiment right now. 8223 Come up with your band name. Can you do better than U2? Just call us right now. If you've got, even if you've never been musical in your entire life, you thought, if I did have a band, I'd call it this. I just want to hear how can the FIVEaa breakfast audience come up with a better suggestion than U2 that Bono and The Edge presumably neither liked, but they just went with it. Apparently, they said they thought it sounded futuristic, and then it became about because they said it sounds like space and the V2 rocket, and it more became about you and me and you two. 8223 You can text us on the Telstra Storm Out Barker text line. How hard is it to come up with a better band name than U2? Did you?
Immediately, all my frame of reference for this is the great movie Spinal Tap.
Yes.
One of my favourite lines is when we started playing, we were called the Originals, and we found out there's another band called the Originals, so we decided to call ourselves the New Originals. It's a great, subtle but hilarious joke, I reckon.
The New Originals. We'll take that as our first entry. And can you come up with a band name that's better than U2 right now with no preparation time in this moment? 8223 or text us on 0448 08 1395, the Telstra Storm Out Barker text line. The United States have announced free masks for all, not just the sort of your normal surgical mask, your standard one, but the N95, which is the mask they say provides best protection against Omicron. It's the one that they will tend to use in hospitals and places.
That's got the filter, hasn't it?
It does.
But I know that for some Americans, the mask is not always affordable or convenient to get. So, next week we'll announce how we are making high-quality masks available to the American people for free.
You get free tests in the UK, you get free masks in the United States. I thought we were the ones with the great universal healthcare system.
Well, we get free tests.
PCR tests.
Oh, yeah, of course. Yeah.
You get both elsewhere.
Yeah. Well, this one I'm holding here, this all black cloth one from Drake's down the road, that's the one that people sort of question and say, well, does it have a filter?
The last time I went to get a PCR test, they said, sorry, you've got a cloth mask on. Here, take this mask, because SA Health doesn't accept them anymore.
So this black cloth one.
Yeah, they would have said no. They would have said put that back in your pocket and take one of the blue and white ones.
The blue and white ones.
Yeah.
So they accept them.
Yeah, they do because they're it's something. This is what I don't get. It's something about how often has that been cleaned, which I don't know what relationship that has with COVID. And it would sort of be pretty pedantic to be because we wouldn't want you to get some other form of bacterial infection. So I don't know. Now we got some text coming in here on the Telstra Storm Out Barker text line. Tim says one better. I'd go U1. Someone else has said U3. Which that would work. That would work too.
Tap. What's louder than 10? 11. What's better than U2? U3.
It is. Quite literally. Someone said my band name would be Invite Fate. That sounds like a sort of 90s punk band to me.
Yeah, or a bit metal maybe.
Yeah, you're right. You're right. Bit metal. Crazy Cactus Convention. Trevor and Tanunda. That's excellent. Someone else said something catchy, which is quite literal in the music sense. Josh in Meadow says my dad and his mates have little jam sessions and call themselves the Empty Wallets.
That's good.
Not bad. Band name could be Lane Assist.
A mate of mine for his 60th, he always wanted to play in a band, and he took guitar lessons for about 6 months and got to the point where he could play, entry-level songs like Louie Louie, and I think maybe some Ramones songs, famous for having, no more than 2 chords, 3 chords at best. And him and his 2 mates, they played a little gig at his 60th. It was a terrific night, but they called their band Silverhair.
Silverhair?
Because they're all old.
That is actually fantastic.
Yeah, it was a really good night.
I like that. Mick says instead of Birds of Tokyo, mine would be Pelicans of the Coorong.
Oh, that's
nice.
That's
a good idea.
You could do all sorts of birds around Adelaide for band names. You could do, Pelicans of the Coorong. What about Bin Chickens of the Parklands?
Bin Chickens of the Parklands.
Yeah, that's good.
That's a long band name.
Corellas of Wollonga.
Corellas of Wollonga works.
Galahs of Strathalbyn. Galars of North Terrace.
Keep them coming in. These are fun. I like it. I actually think this is right. I think anyone can come up with a better band name than you two, is what we've demonstrated here. Right. 8223 or text us at the Telstra Stillmount Parker text line. In the meantime, we're going to check traffic for the first time this morning. A new and independent home for BMW is now open on Brighton Road. You can visit Glenelg BMW today.
In Blair Athol, the smash on the parade at Prospect Road, one in Virginia as well on Penfold Road at King Road. A car's hit a tree, Maryvale Road, Addison Avenue and Athelston, and Stobie pole works slowing Seacombe Road at Sturt as well. Starring Oscar nominee Timothée Chalamet, Dune is the blockbuster sci-fi film of the year. Fast-tracked from cinemas to your home, Dune new to buy or rent on digital. It's Adelaide's most accurate traffic on 5AA.
If you're going to test drive a new car, taking it around the block a few times, it's just not enough. So take a proper test drive at Jarvis Toyota Clovelly Park. The all-new Land Cruiser 300 boasts enhanced luxury and technology, making it a pleasure to drive both on and off-road. With a brand new 3.3-litre twin-turbo V6 diesel engine, it's the most powerful diesel Land Cruiser yet. Rediscover the road and take a proper test drive in the new Land Cruiser 300 at Jarvis Toyota, South Road, Clovelly Park. Proudly celebrating 20 years of great deals.
Looking for New Year bargains? Then head to Harris Scarf's stock take sale now before it's too late. You'll find up to 60% off homewares in Manchester, up to 50% off clothing and underwear, and up to 30% off electrical. Plus great deals on designers like Shayna Blaze, Jane Lamerton and Chica Home. You can even click and collect within 3 hours. So for great brands at great sale prices, head to Harris Scarf. Don't miss out. Sale ends Tuesday, 1st of February. Exclusions apply. See in-store or online for details.
Looking for a career change? Cleanaway have job opportunities for drivers and mechanics available right now. Join Australia's largest waste management company and help make a sustainable future possible. We provide essential waste and recycling services to the South Australian community. A career in the cabin means a different view every day. So if you have an HR truck licence or mechanic qualification, apply today. Search Cleanaway Careers or visit cleanaway.com.au/careers.
What would you say if I told you that you could retire in just 5 years? 5 years. MBA Financial Strategist can design you a retirement plan. It will help you plan to maximise your super and bridge the gap between what you have and what you'll need. It's called Retire in 5, and you can start the clock today so you can retire when you want to retire. Start with a free consultation with MBA Financial Strategist. Retireinfive.com.au. See website for T's and C's.
Who can fix the shower?
Service today.
Who can fix the power?
Service today.
Yes, we can, is what we say at Service Today.
From emergency plumbing to electrical and heating and cooling, no matter what size job you need, at Service Today the answer will always be yes, we can. It's Service Today guaranteed or it's free.
Can you fix the shower? Yes, we can. Can you fix the power? Yes, we can. Yes, we can, is what we say at Service Today.
Look out for our bright yellow trucks.
9 News is the one that's always been live and local. 9 News, made in Adelaide for Adelaide.
Gliderol Garage Doors, adding strength, safety and style to South Australian homes for over 40 years. Gliderol.com.au.
You're listening to 5AA Breakfast. David Penberthy and Will Goodings.
12 to 7, we're off to the US before 7 o'clock this morning. Then after, we'll take you through changes to restrictions in the United Kingdom that very strongly suggest they're putting an end date on the pandemic. We'll get into that, but first, SAPOL. Senior Constable Christina Phillipson is on the line. Christina, good morning to you.
Good morning.
Car fire in Nailsworth early this morning.
Yeah, just before 1:30 this morning, while on general patrol, the Dog Operations Unit was alerted to a car fire in a car dealership on Main North Road at Nailsworth by a member of the public. And on attending that fire, the patrol located a man in the vicinity who was chased by police dog Judge and quickly detained, which was great. And due to PD Judge's quick actions, significant damage was prevented to other vehicles and to the showroom, which is great. And an 18-year-old man from Para Hills has been arrested and charged with arson. He'll be refused bail and is expected to appear in the Adelaide Magistrates Court today.
Don't mess with the judge, moral of that story.
No, correct.
Also, Christina, police have appealed for public help after a bit of a stink in Glenelg.
Yeah, Yeah, that's right. That actually happened just after 10:30 on Tuesday night. Police were called to a bus stop on Adelphi Terrace at Glenelg after reports of a bit of an altercation between a young man and the occupants of a white four-wheel drive there. And so, concerned for the welfare of that young man, we did launch an investigation and appealed for anyone with information to come forward. And within a short time, a group of friends involved in that incident have attended a police station to allay any concerns about that, and we're satisfied that everyone involved is known to each other. And we just wanted to thank the public for their concern and for sharing that appeal on social media, which resulted in such a quick resolution.
Good stuff. Thanks, Christina.
Senior Constable Christina Phillipson from SAPOL. Let's talk about the weather and the disappearing rain. Hannah Marsh, Senior Forecaster at the Weather Bureau. Let's start with today, Hannah, but then take your time on the forecast for the weekend, because it's really mystified us all week.
No worries at all. Yeah, it is a little bit of a tricky one. But like you say, returning to the short term, we had a minimum of 22.5 degrees overnight. That occurred at 11 p.m. So pretty much most of the night it was around the 24 to 26 degree mark. We're currently sitting on 24.2 degrees and heading for a sunny 35 degrees in the city and also Glenelg. 36 at Elizabeth, 35 also at Noarlunga, and heading for 33 at Mount Barker. Tomorrow, we're also heading for 35 and mostly sunny. And as you mentioned, we do have this very slow-moving trough out west and a low-pressure system. And exactly where that low-pressure system does end up will depend on how much rainfall we end up seeing. So it has been downgraded, with the peak of the rainfall now expected to the north of Adelaide. So for Saturday, we're looking at partly cloudy and 34 degrees. Sunday will be quite humid with 29 degrees. We'll start seeing the showers developing during Sunday, and also the chance of seeing a thunderstorm. And the likely rainfall range at this stage for Sunday is up to 10 millimetres, with a further 4 millimetres possible on Monday.
Is there still a chance, Hannah, though, that it could change again, do you think? Because it seems to be quite an unpredictable weather pattern, given the sort of, the fluctuation in the projection so far this week.
Yeah, absolutely. And the other thing is, with thunderstorms in itself, it can be quite variable as well. So it is possible that one suburb could see a thunderstorm and decent rainfall, while another suburb could miss out. Yeah, absolutely. Good stuff. Thanks for that, Hannah. Should also point out there's a fire weather warning as well for the lower air, Mount Lofty ranges and lower southeast. It's going to be a bit gusty with the northeast to easterlies. So keep your wits about you, folks. Remember your fire plans.
More text coming through with people helping out Bono. He says he regrets the band name U2. Wanted to get a sense of how hard it is to come up with a good band name. It turns out it's not that hard. We've got some great ones coming through. Although some of them are unkind on U2. Someone said not U2 but 2 Up, because they're tossers.
Oh, that's harsh.
Sam says the band could be called With Minimum Chips.
Minimum Chips, good name for
Minimum Chips.
Minimum Chips.
Is Minimum Chips not already a band name? It feels like it is.
Sounds like there's a band called Minimum Chips kicking around.
I think there is. I'll need to do some research on that. It's
Maybe Sam's in Minimum Chips.
He probably is. Well, you call us, Sam, and spruik your...
Self-promotion.
Spruik your latest cut off your new record or something. Right. 7 to 7. We're off to the US right after this.
The Edwardstown Mazda sale is on right now, and it's sizzling with massive savings on new, demo and used Mazdas. Plenty of stock is arriving daily, but you'd better hurry. They'll be snapped up. Edwardstown Mazda, 862 South Road, LMVD 207428.
Cruise along the captivating waterways of Europe on an all-inclusive luxury scenic Europe river cruise with Phil Hoffman Travel. Experience a 5-star river cruise with flights to Europe, dining, beverages and excursions. This is all-inclusive luxury in a class of its own. Travel in 2022 and your economy flights are included, or upgrade to business class from $2,995 per person. For unbeatable offers, call Phil Hoffman Travel today or visit pht.com.au. Conditions apply.
As we get older, we want to be able to enjoy a better life, and perhaps more importantly, we want to be able to enjoy it in our own homes. So if you're a loved one needs some help to enjoy a better life at home, Southern Cross Care is here for you with their home care services.
Led by qualified and compassionate health professionals, their home care services will help you take care of yourself, your health, your home and your garden. And how's this? There's no set-up or exit fees with Southern Cross Care's home care services, and that gives you extra peace of mind.
To find out more, visit southerncrosscare.com.au or call 1800 852 772. Southern Cross Care, better for life at home.
G'day, Tom Wren here. Greyhounds love to run, and greyhound fans love Thursday nights at Angle Park. For top greyhound racing, a great family atmosphere and the amazing food, Chase's Restaurant is offering a full a la carte menu to ensure you have a fantastic night out. Chips, wedges, through to classics like burgers, fish and chips, schnitties and steaks. Yum! Grab the whole family and get to the park to watch those dogs go. Every Thursday night at Angle Park Greyhounds.
5AA Breakfast is streaming live right now. To watch, simply head online to 5AA Facebook or search 5AA on YouTube.
Gliderol Garage Doors new Platinum and Native Series sectional doors are here. Gliderol.com.au.
You're listening to 5AA Breakfast. David Penberthy and Will Goodings.
5 minutes to 7. Time to head off to the US. Miley Hogan for 7 News joins us. Miley, good morning to you.
Good morning, guys.
And Britney Spears is back in court.
Yeah, look, I'm sure the last thing Britney wants is another very public legal battle with another member of her family, but unfortunately it looks like her relationship with her sister could be heading that way. They've been having a very public feud on social media, taking bites at each other about their childhood. Now, this all goes to Jamie Lynn Spears, Britney's younger sister. She has a new book coming out, a memoir, and in that she says that her sister was paranoid and erratic paranoid and erratic growing up. But, for example, she's been talking a lot about Britney on her publicity tour. One conversation she had was about the breakup that Britney had with Justin Timberlake. Now, Britney wants her to stop talking about her. She says that it is misleading and outrageous information and claims, and she wants her to stop. So her lawyer has sent a letter, a cease and desist, saying that she wants her to stop making these derogatory claims about her.
Geez, she sounds like a bit of a sponge trying to make a quid off her sister. Anyway.
Well, yeah, that's exactly what Britney has said, that she's exploiting her to make money.
Yeah, absolutely. Miley, also tensions on the rise between Ukraine and Russia.
Yeah, so Washington has issued a stark warning here saying that Russia could invade Ukraine at any moment on really short notice. So to try and prevent this, there's a desperate diplomatic mission underway to stop war. The US Secretary of State, Antony Blinken, has travelled to Ukraine, and this is to show that Washington supports Ukraine's effort. It comes as a video has been released of Russian troops performing military exercises near Ukraine's border. It's believed there's 100,000 troops gathered there and that Russia could double those forces in a short amount of time. The Secretary of State has held meetings with Ukraine's leaders to talk about the next steps, but he is also going to meet with his Russian counterpart. Now, that will give him an opportunity to renew America's warning that an invasion will trigger punishing sanctions. Those could be financial sanctions, but they've also promised to give Ukraine some extra money for some military defence weapons. Now, Russia is calling for a guarantee that NATO will not expand closer to its territory to include Ukraine, but that's a demand the West is not willing to meet at this point. And Russia's also rejected US allegations that it's preparing to invade altogether. It has brushed off calls to withdraw its troops, saying that it has a right to deploy its forces wherever it likes in its own territory.
And just lastly, Miley, before we let you go, there's been another deadly fire in the Bronx.
Yeah, so this is unfortunately seen one person die and several others injured. But the reason this fire is gaining a bit of attention is because it's all been caught on body cam, and the police have shown incredible heroic actions by running into a burning building. It's the building next door to where the explosion happened. The fires travelled over, but a woman was trapped inside. And if you watch this video, you can see the police run into this building and find this woman trapped underneath a couch. They managed to get her out and save her life. Now, 5 officers were injured while doing that, but thankfully they are going to be okay.
Well, that's good news.
Absolutely. Miley, thank you. Miley Hogan for 7 News in the United States. Minimum Chips were a band, should I say, not are a band, so we can't accept that suggestion from Sam, unfortunately. They were an electronic and rock band that started in 93 and were making music right up until 2007.
Terrific text here from Don on the Telstra Store Mount Barker text line. It says, "Good morning, boys. I thought that they got their name when Bono and The Edge walked into their local pub and the barman said, 'Not you too again.'"
That would be a better origin story than them trying to be inspired by, science fiction.
Yeah, that's right. I don't know if Don made that up on the fly. I've never heard that joke before.
No, that was good.
I'll pay it. Dad joke. Good joke.
Well played, Don. 8223 You can text us on the Telstra Storm Out Barker text line. Next hour on the program, we're flashing back with Michael Smith, and for the first time in 2022...
10 out of 10 every time.
Matt Abraham will join us to rate some spin. He's had a whole summer to pick from. I'm looking forward to that. That's coming up.
Tanned, rested and ready. And I tell you, this is the only radio station you'll be listening to. If you want to get the depth of experience to take the state election seriously, we're only 8 weeks away.
Yep.
Matt's got, I shouldn't age him, but he's got a good 4 decades of covering state politics. You're not going to find that level of experience on any other radio station in South Australia.
It starts right after 7:30.
Online, on DAB Digital Radio, and on 1395 AM. Talking Adelaide. This is Adelaide's 5AA.
Sunny and 35 today with the 7 o'clock news. I'm Mel Usher.
Had a bingle driving to work? Contact Premier Panel Services at premierpanel.com.au.
Charges have been laid after a fire at a Nailsworth car yard. The alarm was raised at Main North Reno around 1 a.m. Senior Constable Christina Phillipson says a man was detained a short time later.
An 18-year-old man from Para Hills has been arrested and charged with arson. He'll be refused bail and is expected to appear in the Adelaide Magistrates Court today.
A dedicated booster vaccination clinic will open at Wayville this morning. The clinic is available to anyone aged 18 and over who had their second COVID jab at least 3 months ago. It will operate from 8 a.m. to 4 p.m. 7 days a week. Bookings are essential. More rapid antigen test collection points will open in SA today at Port Adelaide and Mount Gambier. Close contacts are eligible for 2 free tests but must register first. Meantime, operating hours will be limited at testing sites today due to the hot weather. The majority will close at 11 a.m. and reopen at 6 p.m. Education unions are demanding a comprehensive back-to-school plan be established ahead of Term 1. Premiers and Chief Ministers are meeting today to discuss strategies to ensure face-to-face learning can return amid surging COVID cases. Improving ventilation and providing free access to RATs will be considered. Strengthening defence cooperation between Australia and the UK will be top of the agenda at upcoming high-level talks. Nine's Lucy Gray reports.
The Prime Minister is welcoming Britain's Foreign Secretary Liz Truss and Defence Secretary Ben Wallace to Kirribilli House in Sydney today for the first time since the beginning of the pandemic. The pair have travelled to Australia to attend annual defence and security talks between the two countries. Ms Truss and Mr Wallace will attend a formal meeting with Foreign Minister Maurice Payne and Defence Minister Peter Dutton on Friday. Strategic challenges in the Indo-Pacific and the need for a greater UK presence in the region will dominate talks.
Tears have flowed at a candlelight vigil for murdered girl Charlize Mutton in northern New South Wales. The 9-year-old's classmates and teachers gathered outside Tweed Heads Public School, bringing candles, balloons and flowers. One of Charlize's best friends paying tribute to her.
Charlize has touched many lives on her journey throughout this world, especially within the school community where she was loved. Her bright smiling face and her beautiful nature shone as bright as her spirit is now.
A 31-year-old man has been charged with the girl's murder. Moscow has placed about 100,000 troops at the Ukrainian border, but denies it's getting ready to invade. The BBC's James Waterhouse has the latest.
What ministers here really want is Western governments to announce new and immediate sanctions to put Russia off an invasion. The Kremlin's constantly denied planning one, but with Russian troops now carrying out joint exercises with Belarus to the north, anxieties are growing. Antony Blinken's next stop is Germany to meet other NATO members before a Geneva appointment with Russia's Foreign Minister Sergei Lavrov on Friday.
Now turning to 5AA Sport.
If the windy weather has left your gutters full of debris, give Ken a call. Ken Hall Plumbers.
It's over to Jace Kemp.
Thank you, Mel. John Millman and Alexander Vukic are out of the Australian Open after both Aussies lost their second-round matches in straight sets. All the eyes will be on centre court tonight when Nick Kyrgios takes on world number 2 Daniil Medvedev. Kyrgios says he always loves taking on the heavyweights.
I'm not going to go into it with a lot of expectation. I'm going to go out there, have some fun, play my game. You know, I have a pretty set in stone game plan of what I need to do to have success.
To cricket, and the Strikers will face the Hurricanes in an elimination final this Friday night after they were thrashed by the Stars. Glenn Maxwell smashed a record unbeaten 154 off just 64 balls as the Stars soared to 273, the highest ever BBL total.
It's been a tough season. I suppose Victoria's been decimated by COVID, so has a couple of the other states. So for, I suppose, the people that can come out here and enjoy, or we can hopefully put on a show for them, I suppose it still means a lot to them, and hopefully that it motivates them to come back and support us next year.
To netball, and Australia is currently leading England in the Quad Series decider. Well, finally in the EPL, it's 1-1 between Leicester and Tottenham. And that's the 5AA Sport.
Now checking 5AA traffic.
Do you have an existing BMW service inclusive package? Book your next day service at Glenelg BMW.
In Blair Athol, a smash on the parade at Prospect Road, also one in Virginia on Penfield Road at King Road. A car's hit a tree, Maryvale Road, Addison Avenue and Athelston, and Stobie pole works causing delays, Seacombe Road at Sturt. Don't miss the Commonwealth Bank's Women's Ashes T20 international matches. Australia versus England live January 20, 22 and 23 at Adelaide Oval. Search Ashes tickets now. It's Adelaide's most accurate traffic on 5AA.
The 5AA forecast: sunny 35 for your Thursday, mostly sunny tomorrow 35, Saturday partly cloudy 34. Right now it's 24 degrees. More news as it happens on 5AA.
Gliderall Garage Doors, adding strength, safety and style to South Australian homes for over 40 years. Gliderall.com.au.
You're listening to 5AA Breakfast. David Penberthy and Will Goodings.
5 minutes after 7, Michael Smith shortly will be flashing back. Then after 7:30 today, Matt Abraham will join us for the first time in 2022. Very much looking forward to that, dissecting a summer's worth of spin. Then after 8, we're going to speak with a expectant mother who will be giving birth at the Lyell McEwen, the subject of a lot of conversation in the last 24 hours because of the onerous rules put on people that would be the husband, father, partner of the pregnant lady, requiring them to be there only when they're in the active birthing process and having to leave 4 hours after. They say it's a COVID measure. 22,000 people who signed a petition say it's just cruelty. We're going to chat more about that after 8:30. But if you're an expectant mother yourself, you've got someone in the family, maybe you've just been through this, give us a call. Let us know what your experience was or what you've been told. 8223 0000.
I cannot believe it became policy. I cannot believe that it's not been absolutely, flatly, undeniably knocked on the head already. It's crazy.
One of the big talking points yesterday started on 5AA Breakfast in Breaking at 8 when the Premier told us it was time to investigate claims made in the Advertiser by retailers that eastern states' governments had been seizing rapid antigen tests.
Well, South Australians have every right to be outraged if these allegations are correct. Any interference in the supply of rapid antigen tests to South Australia is completely and utterly unacceptable.
Yeah, that's the Premier with us on 5AA Breakfast yesterday. The conversation progressed to the Prime Minister over the course of the day.
There have been some absurd allegations made, particularly over the summer. The allegations that the Commonwealth has redirected supplies of rapid antigen tests, or indeed that the Commonwealth has impounded private supplies or sought to frustrate private supplies. None of this is true. I have got no idea where that's coming from. It's just floats around on social media and then it gets reported. Something happening on social media isn't a story. It's usually just rubbish.
That's the Prime Minister defending an allegation that wasn't made.
No, exactly. I was just going to say the exact same thing. The Advertiser's article, the paper that broke the story yesterday on page 1, they weren't saying that the federal government had somehow secretly stockpiled them and was setting them aside for New South Wales and Victoria. They were saying that at the delivery level, that somehow people in Victoria and New South Wales were basically jumping the queue, and that South Australian companies that had ordered them were then having those orders dishonoured with the explanation, sorry, they're going to Victoria and New South Wales.
Well, the Premier was undeterred by what the Prime Minister had to say and confirmed he has written to the ACCC seeking an independent investigation of what's going on.
It is a very serious allegation, and today I've written to Rod Sims, he's the head of the ACCC, and I've asked him to investigate. If these allegations prove correct, it's quite possible that they're illegal, anti-competitive, and of course they're a massive kick in the guts to South Australia.
Now, the conversation we've had over the course of the first few days that we've been back this year, I think everyone's probably been having now for the better part of the last year or so is how does this thing end? When does it end? What needs to take place? What are we waiting for? Well, maybe we're waiting for an example of it working where someone says this is the end date. And the United Kingdom overnight has gone as close to doing that as I think anywhere on planet Earth. There will be a raft of changes that have come into effect as a result of Boris Johnson announcing them. Things like mask wearing and vaccine passports are going to be scrapped from next week. There will be things like working from home. That's not going to happen anymore. Wearing masks on public transport. That'll end on January 28. The most telling one, though, I think, is that the legal requirement for people with coronavirus to self-isolate would be allowed to lapse when regulations expire on the 24th of March. I reckon that's the last one. The last one is if you get COVID, you have to stay at home. Once we're not doing that, we're not doing anything. We're just treating it like it's a normal cold, basically.
2 months from now.
Here's the Health Secretary overnight talking about the changes in the UK.
The steps that we've announced today represent a major milestone, but it's not the end of the road. And we shouldn't see this as the finish line, because we cannot eradicate this virus and its future variants. Instead, we must learn to live with COVID in the same way that we've learned to live with flu. And we'll be setting out our long-term plan for living with COVID-19 this spring.
Now, is there a chance that they've announced this to distract from Partygate, or conversely, is there a chance that the Johnson government has actually announced this purely because Boris wants to throw some more parties at Downing Street?
Both could be true, I guess. I wouldn't rule anything
Deploy
out.
the gin.
Yeah, a few political cynics have
Pass me
suggested
the tanker, eh?
He needed a win, and declaring victory over COVID would be the biggest of wins you could deliver at this point in time.
He's in real strife. In fact, I noticed the Daily Express used the headline that we made up yesterday, "Party's over."
Yep.
I still don't think that he'll see out the week.
He's terminal.
Yeah,
I don't think
he's
he's
cooked.
terminal.
His goose is cooked.
His goose is very much cooked. As to the changes with regard to restrictions in the United Kingdom, there's, of course, a bit of debate. Here is Thomas Moore, Sky News' science and medical correspondent.
Well, there's clear evidence that the wave of Omicron has turned the corner. There's been a big drop in cases, 20% last week compared to the week before, according to the Office for National Statistics. And if you look at hospitalisations too, they are also falling everywhere apart from the Midlands. And that's clearly given the government heart that it can now row back Plan B. But is there evidence that that can safely be done right now at this stage? No, that evidence is not clear. While there are so many infections, and bear in mind we're still seeing 100,000 declared cases every day. That's well above even the peak of last January, which we thought was bad. So there's a long way to go down.
The death rate and the hospitalisation rate are so totally different from Delta, though. That's the key difference.
That's exactly right. There's been a lot of, over the course of the pandemic, crazy stuff written about 5G and what's in vaccines, technology, and Bill Gates' breakfast cereal. But there is a serious story about 5G at the moment that's coming out of the United States.
AT&T and Verizon will activate more than 90% of their ultra-fast 5G wireless networks as planned Wednesday. But cell phone towers within a 2-mile radius of many of the nation's busiest airports will remain offline, specifically to avoid potential interference with cockpit systems that help pilots land in bad weather and low visibility. United CEO Scott Kirby had warned of potential catastrophe.
5G is now the biggest issue facing the airline industry, which is remarkable to say in a world where we're still in COVID.
Now, the head of Emirates said this is the biggest planning disaster he's ever seen. So you've got a scenario where this technology is about to be rolled out and switched on right around the United States, except, we better not turn on the ones near airports, because it turns out the 5G frequency used in the United States is quite close to the frequency used by, I'm not sure of the pronunciation, the altimeter, the instrument that determines altitude, basically.
Yeah, right.
So that is obviously problematic.
Altimeter? Altimeter.
Altimeter, yeah. Whatever it might...
Any pilots listening, help us out.
Yeah,
We're
help us
clearly
out with the
floundering.
pronunciation. Yeah, exactly. Sam Daddo's a pilot, he says. Is that right? I wasn't aware of that.
Oh, you, Sam.
Yeah, what are you licensed to fly? How do you say altimeter? Altimeter. There he is.
Altimeter.
Yeah, there he is.
Altimeter.
He's a pilot. Who knew?
I didn't know that. Renaissance man.
Well, he should be the one doing the story about the 5G then. Here's the interesting thing. So internationally, there's been a few carriers that said, hey, if you turn this stuff on, we aren't flying to those airports any longer. That's how big this story has gotten very quickly. Now, in Europe, they've got 5G on, no such problem. And it's because of a nuance in the technology whereby it's the part of the radio spectrum that 5G broadcasts on, like FIVEaa is on the 1395 part of the radio spectrum. On 5G, companies in the United States paid $81 billion to get 3.7 to 3.98 gigahertz. In Europe, it's 3.4 to 3.8 gigahertz on the spectrum. So think of it like switching your dial on your radio, different parts. The UK part is just further away from what altimeters are. The US is closer, and so they've got this potentially disastrous scenario where it might interfere with plane systems.
While you've been talking about this, Will, I've been thinking about your friends in the beautiful seaside suburb of Grange, who are probably among the most agitated about 5G towers in South Australia.
Yeah.
Wondering whether their relative proximity to the Adelaide airport could become the latest string in their bow against the towers they're trying to put in there next to the bowling club.
They are very happy to have claimed victory in the bowling club.
Have they won? Have they won?
I heard it unconfirmed at this point in time, though. There's no camaraderie amongst protesters, and it got moved to an alternate site, and people at the alternate site said, this is ridiculous, we don't want it here. And they've come to the Grange people, said, will you join us in our fight? And they went, nah, we're good now.
Doesn't that just tell you everything you need to know about some of these neighbourhood
I got told that
because if you
join, I don't know that's the case.
People of Wayville against medium density housing, what you're actually saying is that you've joined people of Wayville against medium density housing in favour of medium density housing somewhere else.
Exactly right. Yeah, that's exactly right. But they're very...
That should be the full name.
Hyper-local campaigns.
That's right, exactly.
All right, let's check traffic, and we do so thanks to the excellent people at Glenelg BMW. Do you have an existing BMW service-inclusive package? We'll book your next-day service at Glenelg BMW.
In Virginia, there's a smash on Penfield Road at King Road. A car's hit a tree on Maryvale Road, Addison Avenue in Athelston. Stobie Poleworks, Seacombe Road, Sturton, Roadworks 2, Hampstead Road in Broadview. A Porto's double Bondi burger is anything but average with 2 fresh grilled chicken breast fillets, lettuce, cheese, mayo and a Porto's original chilli sauce for just $9.95. It's Adelaide's most accurate traffic on 5AA.
Hey, it's Rory Sloan. For 20 years, the team at Jarvis Toyota have been helping South Australian families keep that "oh, what a feeling" feeling. Over that time, Jarvis has put their support behind Variety, the children's charity, as platinum sponsor of the Variety 4-wheel drive adventure. And they've got plenty more support to give. If you're about to rediscover the road, make sure you take a proper test drive from the range at Jarvis Toyota, South Road, Clovelly Park, proudly celebrating 20 years of support.
NAB is building more of what's important. That's why NAB Modbury is now open in a new location. Our new look branch now offers more, with expert knowledge and personal service. Plus, digital tools and support to help make 24/7 banking easier for you, no matter where you are. Visit NAB Modbury at Westfield Tea Tree Plaza today for banking that puts what's important first. NAB, more than money.
Now, here's a question you should have already asked yourself. Have you got a space in your shed, your workshop, or a space around the home, like the back bit out the side where I now have an excellent garden bench, space that is begging to be converted into highly usable, high-value storage space?
Well, if you do, I've got a solution for you. Get onto Sharman Shelving. They love turning any space into a storage space, and they will make it look amazing.
Yeah. I had some tradies coming through to do the pool stuff, and quite a few of them looked at the garden bench and they said, where'd you get that? I said, Sharman Shelving. Bill or Christine will come to your home, your office, your workshop, your shed. Indeed, they come to your backyard. They'd measure it up, design, deliver and assemble the perfect storage solution in a great range of colours.
Yeah, goodbye lame space. Welcome storage space.
That's right.
You won't have to lift a finger either. It's all done for you. Actually, you may have to point at the space you want converted into storage, but that's it. That's the extent of your responsibility.
It is that easy. When it comes to storage solutions, everybody needs a little Sharman in their life. Call into the showroom at 412 North East Road, Windsor Gardens, or visit their excellent website, sharmanshelving.com.au, or take a look on Facebook.
Christian Canute from Roaston Wines speaks with cricketing legend Dennis Lilly.
Dennis, you've visited a few cellar doors over the years. What is it that you look for?
You know, I love the old school setups where there's friendly, warm people there. They all know a little, good information on the wines they're serving you. And just sort of nice, relaxed, homely atmosphere. Rusden seems to give you that.
Rusden Wines, home of the Black Gut Shiraz. rusdenwines.com.au.
9 News is the one that's always been live and local. 9 News, made in Adelaide for Adelaide.
Gliderol Garage Doors new Platinum and Native Series sectional doors are here. Gliderol.com.au.
You're listening to 5AA Breakfast. David Penberthy and Will Goodings.
7:09, Matt Abraham coming up very shortly. First, it's time to flash back with Michael Smith from 7 News. Michael, good morning to you.
Well, and Dave, nice to have you back on the wireless for another year.
Oh, great to be here, Michael. It's great to have you here as well. We love catching up with you about all the wonderful bits and bobs from yesteryear in this fair town and state of ours. We're going to talk about the Entcent today. I can remember the sheer excitement in the mid-'80s, and I reckon it was after Springsteen didn't come to Adelaide for the Born in the USA tour, and everyone at Marion High was spewing about it because we all wanted to see him, and then the Entcent came along and it felt like all our dreams were going to come true.
Well, we were the last city in Australia to get an entertainment centre, and you're right, it wasn't just Springsteen who gave us the slip. All sorts of bands at the time, Culture Club, Police, missed Adelaide because they said we didn't have a big enough indoor venue. Memorial Drive was great for an outdoor concert. We had Adelaide Oval, Footy Park. But places like the FIVEaa and the old Apollo, remember that?
Yeah, yeah.
Big enough. So, and speaking of Culture Club, it was really that appearance in the mall in 1984 when they put on a concert on that now bridge that doesn't exist in front of the Renaissance Centre. 25,000 people turned out. John Bannon was Premier at the time, and he thought, hang on, there could be something in this. We really do need an entertainment centre. And I didn't realise until I started researching the story how many different proposals there were. We know it, of course, being at Hindmarsh now, but there are about 3 different designs for it down there, including at one stage plans for a 25,000-seat Superdome that would have been 15 stories high. Can you imagine that?
15?
At the time, yeah, extraordinary. John Olsen was a Liberal leader at the time. They were really keen to have it built next to the new Hyatt and Convention Centre by the Riverbank, which, of course, is not far from where the new Riverbank Arena is being proposed. And at one stage, there was even talk of building it down by Footy Park. So it's got a fascinating history.
The as you rattle through all of the options, then it feels like this city's on a bit of a repetitive loop when it comes to discussing plans for where to put entertainment centres and how big they should be.
Well, exactly. And you might remember at the time there were a lot of petitions that went around the place. SAFM was the only FM station in town at the time. It brought most of the big rock acts to town if they agreed to come here. Have a listen to this. This is Andrew Peters, who had particularly silky tones and a wonderful mullet back in the 80s.
You can't go on like this. This is the only city in Australia without an entertainment centre, which kind of makes Adelaide feel a bit hick, doesn't it? I mean, we've always got this problem where we feel as if we're a large country town. Well, things like this cement that feeling. It's not just for rock and roll, it's for tennis as well. There are lots of tennis tournaments that are held indoors right across the world, and we haven't got a venue for indoor tennis in this city.
Well, 35 years later, we've finally got a roof on Memorial Drive.
Excellent stuff, Michael. Fantastic. Thanks for that.
Thanks, guys.
7 News Flashback, only on Channel 7.
Absolutely. 8223 0000 is the number. You can text us on the Telstra Storm Out Barker text line. Maybe you've got a highlight of the history of the entertainment centre. Best thing you've seen at the entertainment centre.
Oh, well, I would say Springsteen.
Yeah, I reckon I would too, actually.
When he had Tom Morello on guitar from Rage Against the Machine.
I'm not that much of a diehard. I don't know.
It was the last one he did here.
Yeah, I would have been there for that.
I'd say that and Taylor Swift 1989.
Was that the entertainment centre? Oh, for some reason, in my head, that was at Adelaide Oval.
No, it was at the entertainment centre, and it was superb. This is where the whole debate. Like, I'm not against the Liberals' plan for an entertainment centre down on North Terrace.
Yeah.
I think I don't buy the argument that it's some attack on the health system. I think that governments / communities can walk and chew gum at the same time. You should be able to have fun stuff and a working health system. One shouldn't necessarily rule out the other. But at the same time, I don't feel like the entertainment centre is a white elephant.
No,
like
it doesn't feel entirely dilapidated. I mean, you've got the tram takes you there now.
Yeah, it's good
Couldn't
setup.
be easier to get from there to the city.
Yeah. And that 1989 concert, you could have been anywhere in the world, in any arena. The sound was superb. The stage looked great.
All right, let's turn our attention to sport briefly. Last night on the sports show, Travis Head had a bit to say about the infamous party video that's been doing the rounds.
Trav, we described it as one of the most un-Australian things we've ever seen. Who dobs on the Australian cricket team for making too much noise?
I think you see by the video, I think we're all pretty subdued. So I think a little bit more has come out of it over the last few hours. Or today I've seen a few things come out on what actually has transpired. And yeah, I've said that to a few of the guys. I was obviously one involved in it. It's been pumped up a fair bit, to be honest. And I think you've seen the way that the guys reacted or the guys conducted themselves. It was actually nice to have a beer with the opposition. And when you finish a game, so we got back at like 1:30 or 1:35 from the ground. We actually weren't too deep in the celebration, so it wasn't too bad. But it was probably the right time to go for a sleep. We had an absolute cracking day when we for the rest of the day. So very enjoyable. I know those things happen, and it's unfortunate. It's not a great look, but I'm just thankful that there's not two issues from it.
I totally agree with everything Travis Head just said. Apart from him saying it's not a great look, I reckon they're grown adults. They've been playing non-stop for 2 months. They've had a terrific win. I reckon they're allowed to go out and let their hair down. No one was getting hurt. They weren't fighting. They weren't fornicating. They weren't chundering in public, picking fights with people.
Yeah.
The only angle I reckon out of that story, not for the Australian media, for the English media, I reckon if I was an English fan, I'd look at that video and think, so you blokes have just been utterly pantsed, 4-zip, saved only by inclement weather and some uncharacteristically insipid Australian tactics in the fourth test at the SCG, and you're out partying till dawn with the people who humiliated you on the world sporting stage.
Yes, that's where they're at, pretty much.
It'd be like the Crows going out with Dustin Martin in 2017 till dawn going, it was all a bit of fun, wasn't it?
Jumping on stage with Jack Rewalt and the Killers.
Yeah, that's right. Or, Warren Treadray going out with Jimmy Bartell till dawn after the 2007 debacle.
The culture of cricket's just different.
It's weird, isn't it?
Yeah, it is. 26 after 7. We got a terrific text through on the opening of the entertainment centre. Catherine says, I remember the opening. Torval and Dean skated. So
not the curlers.
No, not the
ice skaters.
Not the curlers. That would have been... I'm not sure the curlers would have been born yet. It was 1991.
We got to get those curlers on the show.
Oh, absolutely.
That curling interview was sensational the other morning.
It was good fun. So the opening performances, 9th to 24th of August, 91 at the Entertainment Centre. It officially opened on the 20th of January, so a month later. Torval and Dean were there, and stars of the Great Moscow Circus. And Catherine, it turns out, our listener.
Wow, what about that?
26 minutes after 7.
Steinborner certified cars in Gawler, Nuriootpa and Clare has always been well worth a trip. And even more so now with their 38th birthday sale. To celebrate, Steinborner has scoop purchased SA's biggest range of vehicles, SUVs and 4x4s and ripped $500,000 off normal prices across the range. Plus, great deals on new and demo Hyundai, Ford and Mitsubishis. Make the trip to one of Steinborner's 8 dealerships or view the whole range at steinborner.com.au. Steinborner certified cars. It's well worth the trip.
Here's one way to tolerate the heat in your hot home this summer. Stand in an esky of ice, close your eyes and listen to Antarctic sound effects. Was that a polar bear? Or you can call Holair Air Conditioning. They've mastered the art of keeping Adelaide cool. Their expert team can design an air conditioning system just for you, or give your old system its annual service. Holair Air Conditioning for life. Holair.com.au or call 8281 4100.
Good pals are hard to find, but at Parafield Airport Liquor Store, hard to find is our specialty. Whether you're after old reliable pals or want some new pals, Sam, Jamie and the team know just the pals for you. They've made pals with over 200 gins, over 300 craft beers, over 500 whiskies from around the world, and over 2,000 wines. Parafield Airport Liquor Store. Pals. Open till late 7 days. Next to Roulette's Tavern, Kings Road, Parafield.
If you're looking for a new local, the kind where you can get all your shopping done, where you don't have to spend all your time looking for a park. The kind where you can pick up presents, do the weekly shop, and stock up on seafood and small goods. Look to Newton Central. With a newly renovated Drake's, Barossa Fine Foods, Seafood Works, Target, and many more shops, Newton Central is set to become your new local. Newton Central, Gorge Road, Newton.
Hey, it's Callum here. Family safety is everything to the team at Edwardstown Mazda, especially on the roads. So if your car, any make or model, is due for a service, take it to Edwardstown Mazda. One service centre for the whole family.
It's gotta be.
5AA Breakfast is streaming live right now. To watch, simply head online to 5AA Facebook or search 5AA on YouTube.
Gliderall Garage Doors, adding strength, safety and style to South Australian homes for over 40 years. Gliderall.com.au.
You're listening to 5AA Breakfast. David Penberthy and Will Goodings.
29 after 7, Matt Abraham coming up very shortly. Some time for some text, though, just quickly before the news.
Yep, more listeners with their memories of the entertainment centre. Robert says, entertainment centre, for me it's a toss-up between Kiss and AC/DC. I've never seen either of those bands at the entertainment centre. And John says, gents, the music industry has said the entertainment centre is too small and that we'll miss big acts if we don't build a minimum 15,000-seater. It's a bit like Back to the Future after listening to that segment. But imagine if the entertainment centre wasn't built back then. Thank you, John.
Absolutely. All right, it's 5AA News Time. Matt Abraham and John Blake coming up in the next half hour.
This is Adelaide's 5AA.
Sunny and 35 today with the 7:30 news. I'm Mel Usher.
Had a bingle driving to work? Contact premierpanel.com.au. RAA approved crash repairer.
Police have arrested a man after a fire at a car dealership. Just before 1:30 this morning, a member of the public raised the alarm on Main North Road at Nailsworth. An 18-year-old man from Para Hills has been arrested and charged with arson. He'll front court today. Harsh new COVID birthing rules at the Lowell McEwen Hospital are leaving parents at breaking point. The policy only allows women to have their partner with them while in active labour and 4 hours after birth. Ashley Melling is expecting and is desperate for the rules to be overturned.
Really hard because I just don't know what to expect. It would just be good if they could just lessen the restrictions a little bit, make them a little bit less harsh.
Consumer Protection has issued a warning about dodgy retailers selling rapid antigen tests. Scammers have been setting up fake websites and posting links on social media. Commissioner Gary Newcombe says people may be tempted to purchase the at-home tests online because of supply issues.
They're set up to get people's money. They also will try and get identity details off you if they can, so that they are used also for identity theft. And in some cases, if people are actually getting a test in reply, often those tests have been, fake tests.
Popular butters sold nationwide are being recalled due to potential microbial contamination. Nine's Maham Kashani has the details.
Devondale and Woolworths Unsalted and salted butter products are among those affected. They've been available at Coles, Aldi, Costco and other independent supermarkets in all states and territories. People who've bought the items with best before dates between April and May are being told not to consume them. They can return them for a full refund.
UK Prime Minister Boris Johnson is being pressured to quit over claims he allowed staff parties that broke the country's lockdown rules. As the BBC's Helen Catt reports, the opposition has labelled his version of events as absurd.
The mood against Boris Johnson had seemed to be hardening at Westminster in recent days. Further claims of parties and the Prime Minister's response to them causing anger, particularly it had been suggested among the newest Conservative MPs, elected under Mr Johnson's leadership in 2019. But it was a surprise intervention by one of the old guard that is likely to have come as a bigger shock to the Prime Minister. David Davis, who quit the Cabinet alongside Mr Johnson in 2018 in protest at Theresa May's Brexit plans, told the Commons his time was up.
The US Secretary of State is warning Russia could attack Ukraine at very short notice. Antony Blinken is visiting the two nations in a bid to ease tensions. 100,000 Russian troops have been deployed at the border. He's urging the country to choose a diplomatic way out of the crisis.
Moscow has systematically sought to weaken Ukraine's democratic institutions as well as to divide Ukrainian society, using everything from election interference to disinformation to cyber attacks. And Russia has also attempted to destabilize the economic and financial situation in Ukraine, and we are working together to mitigate those efforts.
Now turning to 5AA Sport.
If the windy weather has left your gutters full of debris, give Ken a call. Ken Hall Plumbers.
And here's Jace Kemp.
Thank you, Mel. Let's start with tennis. And just the one Aussie made it through to the third round of the Australian Open on day 3 after John Millman and Alexander Vukic both bowed out in straight sets. Fellow big names Rafael Nadal and Naomi Osaka also progressed. Nadal says he's not feeling any extra pressure to take out the Open, despite Djokovic and Federer both missing from the draw.
I don't have big pressure on my shoulders, honestly. I don't feel it. The pressure is only to stay healthy and to enjoy the fact that I am competing again, and then give my best, as I did during all my tennis career.
To cricket, and the Melbourne Stars have posted the biggest total in Big Bash history too, for 273. Skipper Glenn Maxwell belting a record unbeaten 154 off just 64 deliveries.
Works it round the corner. One of the great Big Bash hundreds from Glenn Maxwell. His second for the season of 41 deliveries. The second quickest of all time. And that man right there is a pure entertainer.
The Hurricanes now face the Strikers on Friday night after being thrashed by 106 runs. To netball, and Australia has won the Quad Series in the UK, the Diamonds defeating the Roses by 8 goals. Well, finally in the EPL, it's 1-1 between Leicester and Tottenham. And that's the 5AA Sport.
Now checking 5AA traffic.
A new and independent home for BMW is now open on Brighton Road. Visit Glenelg BMW today.
In Virginia, a smash on Maryvale Road at Addison Avenue. Stobie pole works slowing Seacombe Road, Diagonal Road at Sturt. You'll find roadworks today too, Lower North East Road, Campbelltown and Marion Road at Marion. Freedom's absolutely everything on sale ends Australia Day. Get huge savings store-wide, including sofas, furniture, homewares and mattresses. Hurry, sale ends Australia Day only at Freedom. It's Adelaide's most accurate traffic on 5AA.
The 5AA forecast, 35 and sunny today, 35 again tomorrow and 34 but partly cloudy on Saturday. Right now it's 25 degrees. More news as it happens on 5AA.
Gliderol Garage Doors new Platinum and Native Series sectional doors are here. Gliderol.com.au.
You're listening to 5AA Breakfast. David Penberthy and Will Goodings.
25 minutes to 8. John Blake is coming up just before 8 o'clock, but right now... He's had a summer to recharge the batteries. He's back on deck ahead of not one but 2 elections in the first half of the year. It's our very own Matt Abraham. Matt, good morning to you, mate.
Good morning, Will. Good morning, David. Coming to you from the back veranda.
We're all remote these days, aren't we, Matt?
Out on the patio I sit.
Well, there's a bit of humidity. Quite rightly this weekend, the humidity we breathe. Yeah.
Exactly.
But well, I don't think we're going to see the lightning crackling, certainly not over the cane fields. We haven't got any cane fields in South Australia. But no, the storm's moved, apparently. We've probably exhausted that little segue, haven't we?
Yeah, I think about 15 seconds ago.
Matt, you haven't been on the radio, but you've still been in the newspaper, and I've been following your columns very closely because I thought you provided the most robust assessment of post-Borders SA and the manner in which it was handled by the state government. You weren't overly impressed.
No, and I'm hopping back in the Sunday Mail this week as well, and I do hope you're back on deck, you slacker, in terms of print. Although I have enjoyed the extra space on the pages, but you know, it's last time we spoke, I think we had no active COVID cases in South Australia. We had no one in hospital with COVID. We had no more than the original 4 deaths which we had at the start of the pandemic almost 2 years ago. We had no one in ICU. We had no one on ventilators. The COVID update from SA Health yesterday, we have 32,366 active cases, 294 people in hospital, 23 in ICU, 4 on ventilations, 3 deaths yesterday. Originally thought it was 6, thankfully it's 3. Even that statistic is a horrible thing. So this has been an enormous shift in South Australia. It's, I think, one of those things that we are all grappling to get our heads around. And, I sense a great anxiety there, and I'm talking not just from my own perspective, but also, talking to kids, our children. You've got children, parents trying to get their kids vaccinated to go back to this hybrid school modelling. You've got parents of young kids who can't get their kids vaccinated because, they're under 5. So it is a very volatile and anxious environment, and as you pointed out, both of you pointed out, we're under 8 weeks. I think it's between 7 and 8 weeks before the March 19 election. It's a very volatile environment for Stephen Marshall and Peter Malinauskas.
The lesson of elections during COVID in Australia is being you don't want to be in opposition because you'll be a much smaller opposition after the election. Do you think we might be the first to buck that trend?
That's really a good question.
It is a good question, and it's one I've been turning my mind to, because if an election were held this week, this Saturday, I think Stephen Marshall would be toast. I think they'd lose the election if it was held this week. Now, it's not going to be held this week, but there's been a marked turnaround in the politics of COVID, and I often think we cranky voters. One of my favourite sayings is, "What have you done for me lately?" And goodwill does evaporate very quickly depending on how you handle it. And there's just a lot of angst. There's been and we have things changing constantly. I noticed the police commissioner on your program yesterday said, "Oh, if we want to get back to lift restrictions, more restrictions, we have to get our booster rates up." Well, that promise was made for getting double vaccinated at 70%, and then it was made at getting double vaccinated at 80%, and then it was made at getting double vaccinated at 90%, and now it's being made for the booster shots. Now, I've had my booster, and I got in as soon as I could, went down to the Noarlunga Clinic, brilliant experience in terms of how they handled it. Tips my lid to SA Health. It'd be a world-class setup. But the fact is, do people want restrictions to be lifted, or we're in this crazy situation at the moment where, it's a lockdown you have when you're not having the lockdown.
Yeah.
I'm not going out unless I need to. I'm avoiding sitting in or going to cafes. Fortunately, I've never been to a gym, so I don't have to worry about that.
Can I ask you a question, Matt? And I don't want to be flippant about it. In all seriousness, are you avoiding doing things? And I've avoided doing things for various points of time. Is it to avoid being quarantined, or are you afraid for your personal health if you get COVID?
Well, both.
Yeah.
Look, I think one of the almost damaging things we keep being told is that this is a mild infection. We were going to have, for instance, a bill to come around to quote on the longest running insurance job in the history of insurance a week ago, and I at the last minute said, "Oh, look, I assume they're vaccinated and so on." "Oh no, the person's had COVID, but it was a mild case," and so on. Just like Novak Djokovic, and I'm thinking, well, wait a minute. Let's just wait till that's all washed through the system, the person is double vaccinated, and then let's rebook the appointment. My wife and I are being very careful. We've got 7 grandkids. They're all under 10, or 10 and under. 2 of them are under 2 years of age. We're trying to navigate sort of, I suppose, having normal relationships, not getting sick ourselves, but also not going into quarantine. I'll just give you a quick example. If you're a teacher going back to school, and you have to go back to school, so we've got this hybrid modelling. If you're a teacher and you have to go back to school, and somebody in your bubble, depending on how the school's managing it, gets COVID, so you're a close contact. Now, these are state government rules. You have to go home at the end of the day. You go home, you're not allowed to go to the shops, you're not allowed to go to the petrol station, do not pass go, do not collect $200. You go home. You're meant to isolate at home from your family. The next day you're meant to go to work again. And you go through this routine for 6 days until you're clear. If a child or something at the school on day 7 gets COVID, you start the 6 days all over again. Now, most families, most working families, don't have two houses. They don't have sort of these separate quarters at one end of the house. How are people meant to manage this? So do you then go and stay with your parents? Well, if you do that, what risk, what potential risk are you putting on, I'm just talking generally here, what potential risk do you put on parents or an uncle or an auntie or grandparent or something like that? How do you manage this? I just think it is to me, it's an extraordinarily anxious time. So we're restricting our movements. I'm not going out to eat at a pub. I'm not going to go into really crowded shops if I don't need to.
See, I think to get back to the question Will put rhetorically, Matt, about the timing of the election for Stephen Marshall, the interesting thing is that everything you've just described about your behaviour, I'm actually personally more laissez-faire than that, and I'm also not upset that we opened the borders when we did on November 23, because I think that as a society we have had no choice but to start getting back to this, and we spent significant hours on our program last year talking to people like the Loreto border and talking to people in communities in Pinaroo about the border town, about all the nonsense they were going through, and talking to all the businesses that were being hit by some of the more contestable restrictions. This, I think, the divergence of opinion illustrates the problem Stephen Marshall's got, because there have been 3 state elections since the pandemic began. Queensland in 2020, and then Western Australia and Tasmania last year. Andrews goes to the polls later this year. Dominic Perrottet doesn't go to the people until March of 2023. So March 17 for Stephen Marshall comes at a time where no longer is there an overwhelming and uniformly fearful and paranoid view in the community that we are in the midst of a pandemic. We all have to knuckle down and deal with the impositions and the hardships that it takes. We're now at a point where people have wildly different views about how to get out of the thing, and it's almost like the war in Iraq, where, the saying was they've won the war, but can they win the peace? Now, sort of winning the war against COVID in SA was kind of easy, and all those stats you rattled off, 100% true. Like, you look at it, 4 deaths to November 23, and now we're up to 45, I think, in like the last 9 weeks. The Marshall, in an ideal world, would have gone to the polls in October last year.
Yep.
Of course. But we got fixed 4-year terms, so that didn't happen. Look, this is it. And I think all of us are struggling to see, what's the end game here? How do you get out of this? And that is not clear at all. So a March election is not far away. The federal election, it looks like the Prime Minister's going, we're looking at May. He's got a little bit more time up his sleeve. I think Stephen Marshall has to hope that somehow things do start to moderate in South Australia. And it's no good looking at cases, as Casey Briggs said on ABC News last night. He's a COVID data analyst guy. He said, the true indication of what's going on now is hospitalisations, people in ICU, in terms of what's happening with COVID in the community, because really the full-on testing and also rapid antigen testing, I can't see how SA Health is keeping any semblance of case tracking going on there. There would be people right now listening who have done a RAT test this morning and it's positive, and they won't be reporting that. I'm not advocating it. I'm just saying, if your income relies on you being able to go to work every day, whether you're a private operator or a business, are you going to go out of your way to report a positive a RAT test? The only way people know that you've got COVID is if your condition deteriorates and you end up in hospital on a ventilator.
Yeah.
Or you end up in a hospital full stop. So, it's almost the testing level, and this is, the Prime Minister's saying, well, get rid of testing. The states need to get rid of testing, except in, critical care environments. Well, that's an interesting take. But I think to do that, this is another big step for Stephen Marshall. And, they're attempting here to keep restrictions on, which some people don't want. And even if you lift them, some people wish you'd kept them on. And as you said, that's the great divide here in South Australia.
100%.
All right, Matt, for the first time in 2022,
yes,
it's time to get to rating some spin.
5 out of 10, out of 10, every time.
What do you got for us?
Well, for Glenda and Jeff, who I met at the Kingston Park Caravan Park, who are faithful listeners, there are two this morning. The first is the leader of the free world, Joe Biden, who started shouting at reporters, trying to get his point across, after unsuccessfully, obviously, meeting with senators on his voting rights bill.
We all ask questions about complicated subjects like, can you get this done? I hope we can get this done. The honest to God answer is, I don't know whether we can get this done. Is this mic on? I guess, anyway. And I'm not sure either. But anyway, I hope we can get this done. But I'm not sure. But one thing for certain, like every other major civil rights bill that came along, if we missed the first time, we can come back and try it a second time. We missed this time. We missed this time. And the state legislative bodies continue to change the law, not as to who can vote, but who gets to count the vote. Count the vote. Count the vote.
The collected oratory of Joe Biden is never going to be a best-selling DVD, is
it? You know my favourite bit there? He goes, is this mic on? Oh, it doesn't matter. I'm giving Joe, look, I'm going to give him a break. 2 out of 10.
2 out of 10. Spin. Now, look at another one.
Yes, quickly. The other leader of the free world, and would have heard this on your news this morning, is Boris Johnson, whose own, one of his key conservative, you've got to remember, this is one of his own MPs, had this message for him in Parliament yesterday.
So I'll remind him of a quotation altogether too familiar to him of Leo Amery to Neville Chamberlain. You have sat there too long for all the good you have done. In the name of God, go.
Order. Prime Minister. I must say to the right honourable gentleman, I don't know what he's talking about, but what I can tell him, I don't know what quotation he's alluding to that he's referring. But what I can tell him is that I think I've told this House repeatedly throughout this pandemic, I take full responsibility for everything done in this government and throughout the pandemic.
Now look, I don't know about you guys, but if my boss said to me, for the sake of God, go, I wouldn't say, I don't know what you're talking about. I don't know what you're talking about. I think he knows.
Yeah.
Oh, Boris gets 8 out of 10.
Yes. Solid spin. Or maybe it's terrible spin. We don't know how the meter works. It's part of the fun of it. Great to chat with you, Matt. Looking forward to doing it over the course of the year.
I don't know how it works either.
No. Hopefully we'll see you face to face at some point during the year as well, Matt. Maybe we can come and sit a safe distance from you in your backyard and have a chat at some point.
I'll come in one of those sort of bubble sumo wrestler suits. Or something.
like Dustin Hoffman in Outbreak.
It'll be like politics segment Inception, because whether Matt can come in or not will actually be the subject of political discussion.
Yeah, for sure.
So I don't know how that'll work.
Well, the last person Will and I had in the studio was Jay Weatherall, and we all know how that turned out.
Good on you, Matt.
Exactly.
That's true.
Exactly right. Yeah.
We didn't leave the house after that one.
No, that was great. 8 to 8. Let's check traffic now, thanks to Glenelg BMW. If you've got a BMW service inclusive package, you can book your next day service at Glenelg BMW.
In Fitzroy, there's a smash on Prospect Road at Fitzroy Terrace, another in Virginia on Penfield Road at King Road. A car's hit a tree, Maryvale Road, Addison Avenue in Athelston, and Stobie Pole works slowing Seacombe Road Sturt as well. Now that we're heading back to the classroom, Afterpay your back-to-school supplies. T's and C's apply. Visit afterpay.com for details today. Pay better. Choose Afterpay. It's Adelaide's most accurate traffic on 5AA.
The time is now. An opportunity to tell a new and unique story. 88 O'Connell, a connected community with swimming pools, gym, indoor and outdoor dining, fresh food marketplace and high-end retail shopping. 2, 3 or 4 bedroom apartments with unparalleled views to the city, hills, coast and beyond. The long-awaited display suite is now open, showcasing the incredible lifestyle on offer at 88 O'Connell. More than an address. 88 O'Connell, North Adelaide.
Don't just get a forklift, get a Toyota forklift. When you need a forklift, don't just get a forklift, get a Toyota forklift. Get the world's #1 forklift brand. Get legendary Toyota reliability, get world-leading safety, and get it from toyotamaterialhandling.com.au. Get the Toyota Forklift Advantage. For sales, service and hire, get a Toyota forklift.
Leon here. I trust Zen Energy to help keep me cool in the summer. Adelaide's own Zen Energy is resetting how we do renewable energy in Australia. As we know, solar is the best way to reduce our carbon footprint, build a better world and save on power bills. It's not too late to access government rebates, so get in quick before prices increase. Contact our friends at Zen Energy and tell them Leon sent you for an even better offer. Visit zenenergy.com.au. That's zenenergy.com.au.
Not all milk is created equal. The Flurio Milk Company is a perfect example. It's real milk, no additives, no preservatives, 100% local, straight from the farm to your table within hours. The Flurio Milk Company pasteurise and bottle their milk on the farm. Doesn't get any fresher than that. Fuel up with Flurio Milk this January and grab yourself any 2 500ml flavoured milks for just $5 at your local ex-convenience. Flurio Milk Company, the milk for all South Aussies.
Let me tell you about St Kilda Hotel. Legend has it, long before the Schnitties and St Kilda playground over there, this pub was a hideaway for the daring few who wanted a cold one after hours. A watchman kept lookout for cops, and this secluded little pub became a sanctuary for the few that knew about it. Still is. Good old school hospitality. Now you know. This table's waiting for you at St Kilda Hotel.
5AA Breakfast is streaming live right now. To watch, simply head online to 5AA Facebook or search 5AA on YouTube.
Gliderol Garage Doors, adding strength, safety and style to South Australian homes for over 40 years. Gliderol.com.au.
You're listening to 5AA Breakfast. David Penberthy and Will Goodings.
4 minutes to 8. Let's talk weather. Jess Braithwaite for 9 News on the line. Jessie, good morning to you. We're trying to find where the disappearing Saturday rain's gone.
Oh, my goodness. I feel so sorry for the forecasters at the Weather Bureau when these storms come in because they have to try to predict how quickly they're going to move and exactly where they're going to go, and it's so hard. But yeah, I think what's happened, that storm system, it's just slowed down. I think they thought it was going to arrive sort of Friday night, Saturday, and now it looks like it'll probably get here Sunday.
Where was it coming from, Jess? Was it was sort of coming from up north, wasn't it? Not from the west?
Yeah, we've got. Yeah, I mean, they're coming from the northwest, and there's a lot of. This is going to sound really nerdy. There's a lot of moisture up there already, and there's heaps of troughs. I don't know if you've seen, like, even today through the northwest of SA, there's sort of like rain bubbling up, and it's like we're kind of feeling really humid and muggy up there. So these systems are kind of coming through, and they're dragging all of this moisture down, and it's all really unstable. And so I think. At one point, they had like maybe 35 millimetres for Saturday, and now it's like nothing. It's just dry.
Yeah, that's right.
Which is good, like good for us.
I don't know. I was looking forward to it. I was going to fertilise everything on Friday and just sit back and enjoy, but doesn't sound like I will now.
I know what you mean. I was thinking for Sunday afternoon of like just pulling up a pew somewhere just to watch the storms roll in over the water, because I just love like watching a good summer storm roll in. So hopefully we still get something on Sunday.
Fingers crossed.
Yeah. So Sunday maybe some storms. I mean today, like pretty much for the rest of the week, we've got 35 degrees today and tomorrow. It didn't even. Don't think we got below 22 degrees overnight. So it's been a warm night It's already around 26 degrees in the city. So, yeah, feeling pretty hot. Saturday now, and, this could change again, but at the moment, Saturday, 34 degrees and looking mostly dry, just like a slight chance of a shower, and then possibly some humid storms coming in on Sunday with that, 29 degrees now. It's going to probably stay humid next week too for the beginning of next week, feeling a bit muggy, 29 degrees on Monday, 28 degrees on Tuesday, and 28 degrees on Wednesday. So
lovely work. Thank you for that, Jessica.
Jess.
Jessica Braithwaite for 9 News. It's time for a bit of Wallace Fog, thanks to Aussie Fast Transport Solutions. They're looking for subcontract drivers right now. Call 13 13 64. That's 13 13 64.
Now, the latest news with Wallace Fog.
Good morning, early risers. I'm Wallace Fogg with another 5AA News Update. The Adelaide City Council's latest program aimed at deterring motorists from parking too long in the CBD has been slammed by ratepayers. A spokesperson for the council said we had to try something, and slashing tyres seemed to be a very effective way of getting the message across. Parking inspectors, along with their electronic ticketing machines, have been issued with state-of-the-art Stanley knives and recently successfully deterred roughly 90 motorists. The so-called googly-eye prankster was thought to have struck again. The prankster has recently been going around attaching a pair of crooked eyes to well-known characters such as Colonel Light Statue, Dan Murphy, Colonel Sanders and Jim from Jim's Mowing. But at yesterday's press conference, someone pointed out that the latest victim was the Premier himself, Stephen Marshall. Until someone else pointed out they weren't googly eyes, they were just the Premier's actual eyes. And finally this morning, New South Wales is experiencing a new plague of cockroaches. Described as an extensive influx of the insects, millions of cockroaches are said to be swarming homes, particularly across Greater Sydney. Western Sydney University Associate Professor of Entomology Marcus Riegler said the hot, humid conditions are partially responsible for the influx of the cockroaches, but it's more likely to be a punishment from God for stealing South Australia's rapid antigen tests. He said it won't be long before the frogs arrive and the Hawkesbury River and Sydney Harbour are turned into blood. And that's the news for this Thursday. I'm Wallace Fogg. More 5AA news coming up at 8 o'clock, or as close as we can get.
More from John Blake coming up after 8:30.
You can WEA just about anything. Learn a new language or an instrument, learn how to read tarot cards, become a better cook or artist, learn more about Adelaide on guided history tours. It's easy to enrol and so much fun. Visit wea-sa.com.au.
9 News is the one that's always been live and local. 9 News, made in Adelaide for Adelaide.
Online, on DAB Digital Radio and on 1395 AM. Talking Adelaide. This is Adelaide's 5AA.
Sunny and 35 today with the 8 o'clock news. I'm Mel Usher.
Had a bingle driving to work? Contact Premier Panel Services at premierpanel.com.au.
There'll be a National Cabinet meeting today. Premiers and Chief Ministers will discuss strategies to ensure our schools can weather the Omicron storm. Nine's Lucy Gray reports.
Establishing a plan to sustain face-to-face learning in schools will be top of the agenda at today's meeting of National Cabinet. Providing free access to rapid antigen tests and improving ventilation are among the measures on the table. If schools close, an additional 5% of the Australian workforce could be taken out of action. Prime Minister Scott Morrison says ensuring schools stay open is key to keeping the economy moving. The vaccine rollout and the state of our health systems will also be discussed.
The COVID vaccination clinic at the Showground has expanded. From today, a dedicated booster vaccination clinic offering Moderna is operating in the Jubilee Pavilion. It's open to anyone aged 18 and over who had their second jab at least 3 months ago. Bookings can be made 7 days a week. More rapid antigen test collection points have come online today in South Australia at Port Adelaide and Mount Gambier. Close contacts are eligible for 2 free tests but must register online first. Another international sports star has been told he's not welcome in Australia if he isn't fully vaccinated. Nine's Isabella Stokowski is in Melbourne.
Surf legend Kelly Slater hasn't revealed whether or not he's vaccinated ahead of the World Surf League Championships in WA and here in Victoria. A stern warning has been issued from Federal Sports Minister Richard Colbeck. He says Slater has no chance of getting into the country if he is unvaccinated. Slater has reportedly said he's not anti-vaccine but anti-mandate. He has supported Novak Djokovic also on social media, saying maybe Stockholm Syndrome can now change its name to Melbourne Australia Syndrome.
US President Joe Biden is holding a rare White House press conference to mark his first year in office. In just his second formal media conference, he's noted that it's been a year of both challenges and achievements. The first-term Democrat has acknowledged a lot of frustration and fatigue in his country, blaming it on COVID.
Omicron has now been challenging us in a way that it's the new enemy. But while it's cause for concern, it's not cause for panic. We've been doing everything we can, learning and adapting as fast as we can, and preparing for a future beyond the pandemic.
An 18-year-old man has been arrested after a fire at a car dealership at Nailsworth overnight. It broke out at Main North Renault around 1:30. MFS crews quickly extinguished the fire. Police dog judge located the suspect nearby and he was arrested. He's been charged with arson and is expected to appear in the Adelaide Magistrates Court today. Total fire bans have been issued for 3 SA districts today. Severe warnings are in place for the Mount Lofty Ranges, Lower Eyre Peninsula and Lower South East. Hot and windy conditions are forecast across the state. A volcanic eruption and tsunami in Tonga has been linked to a massive oil spill thousands of kilometres away at a refinery in Peru. The Peruvian government says it's the worst ecological disaster they've seen in years. A Minato Safari Park lioness Husani is pregnant. Blood tests have confirmed the news. Keepers believe she could be due in the next few weeks. It'll be her second litter. Now turning to 5AA Sport.
If the windy weather has left your gutters full of debris, give Ken a call. Ken Hall Plumbers.
It's over to Jace Kemp.
Thank you, Mel. To cricket first, and the Strikers will face the Hurricanes in a Big Bash elimination final on Friday night after they were thrashed by the Stars. Glenn Maxwell smashing a record unbeaten 154 off just 64 balls as the Stars soared to 273, the highest ever BBL total.
Carves it away. 150 for Glenn Maxwell. A wonderful innings of power, timing, skill and just talent.
Meantime, local star Travis Head has opened up about catching COVID during the Ashes series. Head telling the 5AA Sports Show he was more concerned about infecting others.
I was more shattered about potentially the risk of others contracting it. My partner was in the room with me. Concern was around that, and I was devastated for that. When it happens to you, you feel like you're letting everyone down. And what transpired over the next few days wasn't that. It was just a confidence around, no, just get back. You'll be back in the team, get to Sydney.
To tennis, and Aussie John Millman and Alexander Vukic both bowed out in straight sets on day 3 of the Australian Open. To netball, and Australia has won the Quad Series in the UK, the Diamonds defeating the Roses by 8 goals. Aussie Gretel Breder named player of the series.
Coming over to England, we were very unsure at the start if we'd even get here, so the fact that we've made it here, they've been exceptional.
Finally, in the EPL, Tottenham is up 3-2 against Leicester City, while Manchester United is up 2-0 against Brentford. And that's the 5AA Sport.
Now checking 5AA traffic.
Do you have an existing BMW service inclusive package? Book your next day service at Glenelg BMW.
In Flagstaff Hill, a car's gone into a house on Flagstaff Road near South Road. In Torrenceville, a smash as well on South Road at West Theberton Road. One at Fitzroy, Prospect Road, Fitzroy Terrace, and another in Virginia on Penfield Road at King Road. It's Telstra Day. Get unreal deals on a range of accessories, phones and more. Don't miss it. Call your local store or shop online at telstra.com/Telstra Day. It's Adelaide's most accurate traffic on 5AA.
The 5AA forecast, a hot day on the way, sunny and 35, mostly sunny tomorrow 35, Saturday partly cloudy 34. Right now it's 26 degrees. More news as it happens on 5AA.
Steinborner certified cars in Gawler, Nuriootpa and Clare has always been well worth a trip. And even more so now with their 38th birthday sale. To celebrate, Steinborner has scoop purchased SA's biggest range of vehicles, SUVs and 4x4s and ripped $500,000 off normal prices across the range. Plus, great deals on new and demo Hyundai, Ford and Mitsubishis. Make the trip to one of Steinborner's 8 dealerships or view the whole range at steinborner.com.au. Steinborner certified cars. It's well worth the trip.
If you're looking for a new local, you know, the kind where you can get all your shopping done, where you don't have to spend all your time looking for a park. The kind where you can pick up presents, do the weekly shop, and stock up on seafood and small goods. Look to Newton Central. With a newly renovated Drake's, Barossa Fine Foods, Seafood Works, Target, and many more shops, Newton Central is set to become your new local. Newton Central, Gorge Road, Newton.
If you need a window, and not just anything will do, just call Statesman Windows, factory direct to you.
Nobody beats Statesman Windows, not on quality and certainly not on service. Windows, sliding doors, bifolds and more, made right here in Adelaide, factory direct to you. For windows when and where you want them, call Statesman Windows, states.com.au.
Windows when and where you want them. Windows when and where you want them.
The world could be opening soon. So if you're planning to travel, now's the time to take a short language course at WEA. Chinese, Mandarin, French, Italian, Japanese, Greek and more. When it comes to language, you can WEA anything.
Gliderall Garage Doors, adding strength, safety and style to South Australian homes for over 40 years. Gliderall.com.au.
You're listening to 5AA Breakfast. David Penberthy and Will Goodings.
9 minutes after 8, Breaking at 8's coming up in just a moment. Got a chance for you to win a family pass to the big wedgie very, very shortly as well. But first, I want to get into a story that attracted 22,000 signatures of protest and the attention of the Premier. A new rule that was brought in at the Lyell McEwen Hospital to only allow women to have their partner with them while in active labour and 4 hours after their baby's birth. That one is now under review, as the Premier confirmed yesterday.
It is temporary, but I think it is very tough, especially for people who are giving birth. We've asked for an urgent review.
A few people have made the point, just cancel it. You're the Premier. It's despicable. And people, I mean, certainly the feedback we're getting on the Telstra Storm Outbarker text line is people are pretty unified on this one. I imagine Ashley Melling's among them. She is an expectant mother who will be giving birth at the Lyell Mac. Ashley, good morning to you.
Hello.
Great to be talking to you, Ashley. So you're 38 weeks in. Will this be your first child?
Yeah, this is my first child. Yep, so I'm just over 38 weeks. So basically, I can go sort of in labour from any time from now, sort of thing.
Yeah, sure. So, and obviously the first one, it's always a bit of an unknown, and it's a time, you know, without getting too hysterical about it, but it is a time that, by definition, involves some stress and uncertainty.
Yeah, definitely. Like being first-time mum, I don't really know what to expect. I don't know how my labour will go. So obviously with all these sort of restrictions in place, with not being able to have my partner the whole time, it just adds, you know, more stress and uncertainty, really, yeah.
The thing that strikes me about it, and I've been present for the birth of all 4 of my children, is that it can be a bit of an unpredictable process, and adding this weird bureaucratic layer, and the extent to which they've got down to detail of like centimetres of dilation and stuff seems like quite gross, you know, like it's not there. They should not have the right to do that for what's such a private event.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, it is definitely like very stressful because, you know, as far as I've been told, I have to be in like active labour before my partner can be there, and then obviously having that time restriction once the baby's born. You know, like my husband can only be there for 4 hours, and then he has to go, and then he's not able to come back until I get discharged and can go home with the baby. But you just never know. I know for some women the labour might not go as smoothly; they might end up staying like a couple of days. So I suppose the thing that stresses me out is if my labour doesn't go as smooth as I hope, you know, I could be staying in the hospital a little bit longer, and then, you know, I'll be feeling quite lonely not being able to have my partner come back in to see the baby. So it's just, it's definitely very stressful, yeah.
When did you find out about the rule, Ashley?
I actually found out sort of the past week. There was, it wasn't from the hospital though. It was a lot of talk amongst in social media. Obviously women had appointments and maybe spoke to midwives at the hospital, and so they've shared, sort of what restrictions they've heard. It wasn't until once I seen that on social media, I thought, oh, I haven't, heard from the hospital about any of these restrictions. So, I've emailed them myself, and that's when I've obviously found out. So it was quite like a shock because, no one had obviously contacted me about it, and I hadn't had my appointment yet. So I had no idea. Like, as far as I knew, I thought it was still just the same sort of just having the one support person there that could be there for that whole time sort of thing. So, it was quite stressful to not hear it from the hospital, but to hear it from other people, and then, having to chase up the hospital to get them to, like, confirm if it's correct, which it was,
Extraordinary. Do you know if you're having a boy or a girl, Ashley, or is it just going to be a nice surprise?
No, keeping it a surprise,
Good on you. Hey, you sound like you're doing well, even with this added complication, and hopefully sanity will prevail and hubby will be there holding your hand for the duration.
Exactly, I hope so. Thank you.
Good on you, Ashley. Lovely to talk to you.
All the best. Peter Malinauskas, State Labor Leader's called in. Peter Malinauskas, good morning to you.
Good morning, Will. Good morning, Dave.
So, why hasn't this just been knocked on the head already?
Well, that's an excellent question. Look, fellas, I yesterday made it clear, without any equivocation, that if I was Premier, I'd be using all of my authority just to change the rule. And if I'm honest, I was a little bit frustrated when I read the paper this morning and learned that the Premier's initiating a review. Look, the truth is, when you're the Premier of South Australia, you've got an extraordinary amount of authority, and that brings with it a degree of responsibility on occasion to just intervene and act. And I don't think on this one we need a review or a committee or a seminar. I just think we need, as the Premier, to say, listen, when it comes to a moment that is as significant in life as the birth of a child, the father or the partner has just got to be there. And they've got to be there after the fact. I was lucky, like you, Dave, to be at the birth of all three of my children. We had to have, or Annabelle had to have a C-section in the end, which means that after the birth, there needs to be a fair bit of assistance. And to the extent the partner can be there, that's fundamentally important for the child, but also the mum. And the crazy thing about this is, of course, if the father's there for 4 hours, what difference does it make if they're there for 8?
Yeah, exactly.
If they can demonstrate a rapid antigen test that says that they're negative, I can't see any sort of really cogent reason why they shouldn't be there. And so the point of difference between me and the Premier on this one, I wouldn't be having a review, I'd be acting. And I hope that's what happens. Ultimately, we get the right outcome. I suspect we will. But it shouldn't have to take 24, 48 hours of mucking around. I think we're just going to have a decision.
Peter Malinauskas, thanks for that. It'll be a win for people power if it happens. And surely it'll happen. I mean, it should have already happened, but 22,000 signatures in record time.
We've just gotten too used to over the last 2 years being governed by committee.
Yep, 100%. 100%. But everyone listening will be thinking back to their own birth experience. I mean, I won't go into all the details, but one of our bubs took 30 hours to emerge. And that was, are you in labour?
Yep.
Maybe, maybe not. And then there's all these logistical things. And there's things like going and parking the car and going home to get stuff and then bringing it back in. And what planet do the people who came up with this ruling live on?
Well, how about not telling? Well, presumably Ashley would have turned up with her partner. And they would have said, oh, no, you're not coming in. You can come in. Crazy.
It is ridiculous.
It's time for breaking it up.
We were talking a few days ago about the ACTU firing up about rapid tests and wanting to get their hands on them and threatening strike action. And, our view, and I think most sensible people would think, well, crikey, businesses have been suffering enough without the added dramas of that. But one point that the union boss, Sally McManus, has made repeatedly is the extent to which some workers are being pressured to keep working even though they have valid concerns about possibly having been exposed to COVID. Now, I've spoken in the last 24 hours to someone in the know about a major employment services provider here in Adelaide Now, most of these businesses at the moment have told their staff they all have to work remotely, but some of them are still not working remotely, which is, I would say, fair enough. If there's a safe way that you can get people into the office, then that's all well and good. It doesn't look like that's necessarily happened at this employment services provider that I won't name, because I understand there's an HR investigation going on at the moment. But 2 of their staff tested positive in the last week to COVID, and they worked in an office environment with a whole bunch of other people sitting pretty much right next to them. So the other staff, who by definition are close contacts, because it's not like, Jay Weatherall in the studio for 10 minutes. This is like a full working day, an 8-hour shift where you're sitting next to these people. The staff presumed that they should isolate too, and they've been told that if they don't turn up for work, they will face disciplinary action, possibly even, the sack for not coming in, even though they've got completely valid concerns about it. And the other added element to it as well is that this is a business that works with people who are on job seeker, trying to get them into employment, and a lot of their clients are people with disabilities. So they're still having...
That's outrageous.
Meetings.
And illegal, I would have thought.
Well, I mean, it might be something
potentially
for work cover, work safe, or the Fair Work Commission, or who knows. One of the industrial arms of government may end up having a look at this, because it sounds like a pretty stressful and onerous arrangement, and one that flies in the face of SA health advice.
19 minutes after 8, we've got Family Pass to the Big Wedgie to give away this morning. If you'd like to win that, we want to give it to someone who reckons they could participate in a celebrity lookalike competition, because one of our news wrap features of the morning, it features a person who famously lost a lookalike competition of themselves. If you've ever been stopped or you think you look like someone, we'd love to hear from you this morning. You could win a Family Pass to the Big Wedgie, 8223 0000.
Have you been stopped, Will? Have you been confused for anyone else?
Not that I can think of. Have you? Rashid Khan?
I get Rashid Khan quite a bit.
Yeah, I can imagine that. Sometimes I think I'm here with Rashid Khan. I get confused.
Have I shown you my doosra?
Yeah, I have.
Mirrorly.
That's when I know there's a giveaway. Okay. We're going to get to that in a moment. The other stories that are doing the rounds this morning include the Health Minister, who has spoken up today about the location of rapid antigen tests. He did that on Sunrise a short time ago.
If you started buying since August, why can't we buy them at pharmacies at the moment and supermarkets like you can in the UK and the US?
Two different things, and that is a fair and important question. Firstly, actually, around the world, there are challenges at the moment, right around the world, in the UK, in the US, with regards to supply.
Not really. Not really.
On you, Koshy.
Well done, Koshy. Yeah,
that was good.
Seem to be available elsewhere. Speaking of the United States, Ben Fordham on 2GB this morning noticed that we've been added to a pretty odd list from the US.
The United States of America is warning its citizens not to come to Australia. Australia has joined dozens of countries on America's Do Not Fly list. The advice says, and I quote, "Because of the current situation in Australia, even fully vaccinated travellers may be at risk of getting or spreading coronavirus." What's it got to do with Australia? It's everywhere in the world.
And I would have thought if it's anywhere and everywhere, it's in the United States.
Yeah,
that might be the dumbest Do Not Fly list recommendation in the history of that advice out of the United States. Hey, and a happy 76th birthday to Dolly Parton. It's on the US date of her birthday. It is today. She turns 76.
Jolene, 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 I'm begging of you, please don't take my man. Jolene,
love Dolly Parton.
Jolene, Jolene.
Very famously, she once attended a Dolly Parton lookalike competition in Los Angeles. She went along to her. She was at a venue where it was being conducted. It was being participated in by a whole bunch of drag queens. So she said, "This will be funny," and she exaggerated a bit of her look and went up on stage, and they announced the winner based on who got the loudest cheer, and she got the least. So we thought this morning for the Big Wedgie, the Big Family Pass, the Big Wedgie Inflatable Water Park, now open at West Beach Parks for the summer school holidays. Don't miss out. You can get tickets at thebigwedgie.com.au. If you think you'd go all right in a lookalike contest, or you've been stopped in the street like David does as Rashid Khan, 82230000. We want to hear who it is that the celebrity that you could pass for. You can text us too on the Telstra Store Mount Barker text line, and we'll get to some of your entries in just a moment.
I saw a great doco over summer about Charlie Pride, the African-American country singer, great singer, very popular here in Australia in the 60s and 70s. But he, Dolly Parton hugged him when he won I think it was a Grammy.
Right.
And a whole bunch of redneck sort of musical promoters and that cancelled some of her shows.
You're kidding?
Because she hugged a black man.
That's outrageous.
And she never made a fuss about it, but she was told in advance you probably shouldn't hug Charlie Pride. And she went, okay. He won his award, she hugged him.
Good on her. Let's check traffic. A new and independent home for BMW is now open on Brighton Road. Visit Glenelg BMW today.
In Flagstaff Hill, a car's gone into a house on Flagstaff Road near South Road. That's causing delays all round there. In Torranceville, a smashed South Road, West Theberton Road. One at Fitzroy, Prospect Road, Fitzroy Terrace. Another in Virginia on Penfield Road at King Road. A little bit of help brought to you by NRMA Insurance, who have been helping Australians for over 95 years and are now proud to be here in South Australia. It's Adelaide's most accurate traffic on 5AA.
This is the sound of Julian's bargain price vacuum with deep express suction. This is the sound of Julian trying to fix his bargain price vacuum, which infuriates him deeply. Yes, this is the sound of bargain regret. When it comes to the important stuff, like insurance, don't risk it. Go to Amy instead, who offers great value cover you won't regret. Amy does. Before buying insurance issued by FIVEaa Limited Trading as Amy, read the PDS at amy.com.au. TMD also available.
Don't just get a forklift, get a Toyota forklift. When you need a forklift, don't just get a forklift, get a Toyota forklift. Get the world's #1 forklift brand. Get legendary Toyota reliability, get world-leading safety, and get it from toyotamaterialhandling.com.au. Get the Toyota Forklift Advantage for sales, service, and hire. Get a Toyota forklift.
Leon here. I trust Zen Energy to help keep me cool in the summer. Adelaide's own Zen Energy is resetting how we do renewable energy in Australia. As we know, solar is the best way to reduce our carbon footprint, build a better world, and save on power bills. It's not too late to access government rebates, so get in quick before prices increase. Contact our friends at Zen Energy and tell them Leon sent you for an even better offer. Visit zenenergy.com.au. That's zenenergy.com.au.
Here at 5AA, we're all about supporting local. Farewell the Mainline Drive-In with their last summer of movies on the big screen. Pack the family, friends and even the dog in the car for one last trip. Book at wallace.com.au.
Not all milk is created equal. The Fluorio Milk Company is a perfect example. It's real milk, no additives, no preservatives, 100% local, straight from the farm to your table within hours. The Fluorio Milk Company pasteurise and bottle their milk on the farm. Doesn't get any fresher than that. Fuel up with Fluorio Milk this January and grab yourself any 2 500ml flavoured milks for just $5 at your local ex-convenience. Fluorio Milk Company, the milk for all South Aussies.
9 News is the one that's always been live and local. 9 News, made in Adelaide for Adelaide.
Gliderol Garage Doors new Platinum and Native Series sectional doors are here. Gliderol.com.au.
You're listening to 5AA Breakfast. David Penberthy and Will Goodings.
26 minutes after 8, Dolly Parton's birthday. So we thought, inspired by a famous story about Dolly Parton losing a Dolly Parton lookalike competition, for the Big Wedgie Family Pass this morning, we're asking you celebrity that you look like, or you get stopped in the street, or you could possibly participate in a lookalike competition for. Melissa in Paralawi, good morning.
Good morning.
Who do you look like, Melissa?
No, and this was being told by a male kind of charmer type. And just the way he kept saying, I'm Meryl Streep. I'm a spitting image of Meryl Streep.
Oh, that's good.
Can you do the accent?
Oh, well, what movie? And I said to him, what character, what movie? And he said nothing to me. And I'm so far behind of going, oh, God, now I really want to watch as much of Meryl Streep. I love her, and I told him to shut up because I admire her, and don't you dare say I look anything like her.
It sounds to me like he picked the right actor, Melissa.
Oh, well, I just went, I'm thinking, oh, God, no. No, I think it was knowing that she will never work with Dustin Hoffman after Carter versus Carter, the child custody.
Oh, yeah, Kramer versus Kramer.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What did I say, Carter? Of course.
Yeah. Hey, Melissa, good on you. Good to speak with the Meryl Streep lookalike this morning. Dave in South Brighton, good morning.
How you going, guys?
Good, thanks,
I got
Dave.
two, both involved. Number one, went to a mate's place, and he had a friend there in the orchestra, and he was absolutely over the moon that James Morrison had come in to see him. He actually took a photo of me holding his trumpet. He sent it off to his mates in the orchestra. And the other one, which I get all the time, even if I stand in front of photos where he's got bloody photos on, Angry Anderson.
Yeah, right. Fantastic.
All the time.
Oh, that's good, Dave. I like the fact you passed so well that someone was sending pictures off to their friends. Hey, look at this. James Morrison on a trumpet. Scott in Westlakes, good morning.
Morning, boys. How are we?
Good, mate.
Thanks, mate.
That's right. Yeah, Mark Rashido, I get that all the time. I actually went to a wedding once, and the MC of the wedding goes, "Oh, we've got a special guest on table 4. It's Mark Rashido." And everyone's looking around. I'm just like, oh, no, here we go again.
Who knows the roo? Thank you, Scott. Let's go to South Plimpton. Debbie, good morning.
Oh, my God, that's so funny. Welcome back to the year, guys. All your hearers are happy.
Good on you, Debbie.
Thank you, Debbie.
Now, I haven't been told I look like someone famous, but I've been told twice I have a doppelganger.
Oh.
And it was only on Saturday. They said to me, "Do you live in?" And I'm like, "No." They said, "Did you go to high school?" I'm like, "No." They go, "Do you live there?" I'm like, "No." They said, "Oh, there's someone there that looks just like you."
Oh.
Wow.
So-
Do you know which part of town they're in?
The western suburbs, which is where I did come from.
Right.
But it's not me. But
Maybe
yes,
someone copied you after you left. They thought, well, she's moved out.
Oh, my God.
Yeah. I like what Debbie's got going on.
They went to the hairdresser and said, "I want to look like Debbie from South Plimpton."
Good on you, Debbie. Who wins the Big Wedgie family pass?
I reckon let's give it to Melissa.
Okay.
The Meryl Streep.
Meryl Streep, the smooth talker, who said you look a lot like Meryl Streep. Melissa, you are taking the family to the Big Wedgie Inflatable Water Park. Book your tickets now if you'd like to go along at thebigwedgie.com.au.
Gliderol Garage Doors have been manufacturing and installing doors in SA since 1974. From roller doors and sectional doors to customer designer doors and timber doors, the Gliderol range allows you to upgrade the street appeal of your home to any style. We also supply and install insulated sectional doors. Aside from the perfect smooth finish, insulated doors provide thermal and acoustic benefits. Call Gliderol on 1300 799 177 or visit gliderol.com.au.
NAB is building more of what's important, and that's why NAB Modbury is now open in a new location at Westfield Tea Tree Plaza. NAB's new branch offers more with a team that is ready to use their expert knowledge and personal service to help you with home loans, credit cards, personal loans, and your everyday banking. Plus, NAB offers digital tools and support to help make 24/7 banking easier for you, no matter where you are. Visit NAB Modbury today at their new location, Westfield Tea Tree Plaza, North East Road, Modbury. For banking that puts what's important first, NAB, more than money. T's and C's, fees and charges and lending criteria apply.
5AA Breakfast is streaming live right now. To watch, simply head online to 5AA Facebook or search 5AA on YouTube. This is Adelaide's 5AA.
Sunny and 35 today with the 8:30 news. I'm Mel Usher.
Had a bingle driving to work? Contact premierpanel.com.au. RAA approved crash repairer.
A car has crashed into scaffolding, injuring a road worker at Flagstaff Hill. Flagstaff Road is closed in both directions between South Road and Black Road. Motorists are asked to take another route. Charges have been laid after a fire at a Nailsworth car yard. The alarm was raised at Main North Reno around 1am. Senior Constable Christina Phillipson says a man was detained a short time later.
An 18-year-old man from Para Hills has been arrested and charged with arson. He'll be refused bail and is expected to appear in the Adelaide Magistrates Court today.
A leading education union says safety must be the cornerstone of a comprehensive back-to-school plan. National Cabinet is meeting today to discuss strategies to ensure schools can sustain face-to-face learning amid surging COVID cases. Providing free rapid antigen tests to teachers and students is among the measures on the table. Independent Education Union Acting Secretary Pam Smith says adequate resources are required.
We would like to see the primacy of safety for students and staff in any plan. So work health and safety issues such as ventilation and air quality, access to rapid antigen testing for staff and students, and in that we need support staff.
The US President has declared the United States will not return to COVID lockdowns and school closures. In a rare White House media conference, Joe Biden has outlined his achievements in his first year in office and admitted to some mistakes. Biden says Omicron is the new enemy, and while it's cause for concern, it's not a reason to panic.
We're in a better place than we've been and have been thus far, clearly better than a year ago. We're not going back to lockdown. We're not going back to closing schools. Schools should stay open.
Hundreds of people have gathered at an emotional candlelit vigil for Charlize Mutton. Nine's Jessica Millward is at the New South Wales-Queensland border.
Beautiful tributes have been left at the gates of Tweed Heads Primary School for Charlize Mutton, a bright, bubbly and friendly 9-year-old girl. Charlize, who lives with her grandmother in Coolangatta on the Gold Coast, was holidaying in New South Wales with her mother. Her stepfather, her mother's fiancé, has been charged with her murder. Charlize's teachers spoke at a candlelit vigil, expressing just how loved she was and what a positive member of the school she has been. There were hugely emotional scenes as the 9-year-old school friends laid flowers and handwritten notes to pay tribute to Charlize.
A Beverly Hills mansion sitting on the same plot of land where the infamous Manson murders happened is on the market again. The asking price is $85 million. The original house, where a group of people, including Sharon Tate, were killed in 1969, was demolished in the 1990s. Now turning to 5AA Sport.
If the windy weather has left your gutters full of debris, give Ken a call. Ken Hall Plumbers.
Here's Jace Kemp.
Thank you, Mel. To cricket first, and the Strikers will face the Hurricanes in a Big Bash elimination on Friday night after they were thrashed by the Stars. Glenn Maxwell scored a record unbeaten 154 off just 64 balls in his final match of the tournament.
It's been a tough season. I suppose Victoria's been decimated by COVID, so has a couple of the other states. So for, I suppose, the people that can come out here and enjoy, or we can hopefully put on a show for them, I suppose it still means a lot to them, and hopefully that it motivates them to come back and support us next year.
To tennis, and all eyes will be on Nick Kyrgios tonight when he faces Daniel Medvedev on Rod Laver Arena. Kyrgios has told today he's still battling the effects of COVID, which he caught a week before the major.
It's actually still affecting me pretty bad, but, as I said, everyone around the world's dealt with it. Australia's dealt with COVID so hard. It's hit us all so hard. So I responded as best as I can, and that's what we do. We've got to come together and work together.
There's been wild scenes in the Premier League with Tottenham defeating Leicester 3-2 after scoring 2 goals deep in stoppage time, while Manchester United has defeated Brentford 3-1. While finally in the netball, Australia has taken out the Quad Series after beating England by 8 goals. And that's the 5AA Sport.
Now checking 5AA traffic.
A new and independent home for BMW is now open on Brighton Road. Visit Glenelg BMW today.
In Flagstaff Hill, a car's gone into a house on Flagstaff Road near South Road. Delays all round there. In Fitzroy, a smash on Prospect Road at Fitzroy Terrace. It's busy at the moment as well. South Road, Henley Beach Road, Torrenceville. Apart from that, it's all looking pretty good. Clean as the new healthy at Guzmán Gomez Mexican Kitchen. No added preservatives, artificial flavours, colours or unacceptable additives. Burritos and bowls, just $9.90 via the GYG app. It's Adelaide's most accurate traffic on 5AA.
Now the 5AA forecast, sunny 35 for your Thursday, mostly sunny tomorrow 35, Saturday partly cloudy 34. Right now it's 26 degrees. More news as it happens on 5AA.
Australia's making positive energy and there's more on the way. It's all part of our plan to reach net zero by 2050. We're rolling out rooftop solar at record levels, expanding snowy hydro, so it's the biggest battery in the southern hemisphere, and investing billions in projects like hydrogen hubs and seaweed for feed, yum, which means more jobs and even less emissions, helping us reach net zero by 2050. Find out more at positiveenergy.gov.au. Authorised by the Australian Government, Canberra.
No one likes to wait.
especially if you're waiting for something really amazing, like a new Mazda. Lucky, you won't have to wait too long at Mawson Lakes Mazda. Right now, you'll find new stock and demos right across the range, which means there's no compromise. You'll get everything you want and love in your new Mazda. Get behind the wheel of your dream Mazda sooner. Mawson Lakes Mazda, just a short drive from the city.
Go Vita, your local health food shops. Over 30 years health and wellness experience and over 300 natural health practitioners specialising in you.
Hi, I'm Wayne from your local Go Vita store in Mount Barker. Come into any of our Go Vita stores for this great special. Nutrivital Liver Support 120 value pack was $59.95, now $35.95.
Go Vita, Colonnades, Fairview Green, Marion, Mount Barker, Manopara, Semaphore and Tanunda.
Gliderroll Garage Doors' new Platinum and Native Series sectional doors are here. Gliderroll.com.au.
You're listening to 5AA Breakfast. David Penberthy and Will Goodings.
22 minutes to 9. We've got Behind Closed Doors coming up in just a moment. Fuel information for you right now thanks to Glenelg BMW. If you've got an existing BMW service inclusive package, book your next day service at Glenelg BMW. Fuel is, generally speaking, in the low $80s, but there's still a few lingering around that high $40 area. The United Adelaide Airport's $1.46.9. The United on South Road, Melrose Park, $1.47.9. The United Prospect Road, Blair Athol, $1.46.9. And the United Main North Road, Paraka, $46.5.
We were actually going to do this next story yesterday as our breaking at 8. I woke up yesterday morning, late Wednesday night, Tuesday night in bed. I was reading a withering Facebook post by our next guest and his wife, Andrew Taylor, who is the owner of Cafe Komodo in Prospect. It's a fantastic little business. I had a very entertaining night there a couple of years back at a friend's 40th birthday. For people who live in the inner northern suburbs, it's well known as a meeting place. Well, sadly, like so many other businesses around town, it is now shut up shop indefinitely on account of the continuing COVID restrictions. Andrew Taylor was on the line. Andrew, good morning, mate. It was heartbreaking reading that post that you put up.
Good morning.
And look, it is a cracking business. I know that a lot of people, a lot of my wife's friends get there. It's baby friendly. It's pet friendly. It's a cracking spot, but it's all proved too much for you, mate.
Yeah, thanks. Yeah, it has. It's just gotten on top of me. It's been tough for the last nearly 2 years, but we've managed to keep our head above water and do the right thing and get on with it. And this week's just become enough, or last week really. There's just no decisions. The goalposts are moving. It's just so much up in the air and very difficult to plan anything because we don't know what's happening. And the advice that we're getting is, 1 week it's this advice and the next week it's another completely different advice. And it's very difficult to plan around it. So.
How much of that difficulty, Andrew, is about restriction, and how much of it is about people's attitudes at the moment? Because it seems to me there are places people can go that they're just avoiding.
Yeah, definitely. When we were in restrictions, mid last year, we were doing fine. We managed it well. We were going great and turning people away. And I think you're right. You hit the nail on the head. Is people's attitude? It's the fear in people at the moment of just we're not going out. We don't want to get caught in isolation. We want to support you, but we just can't get there. We don't we don't feel safe. And I think that's really a big issue in the industry at the moment.
I note, Andrew, that the Treasurer, Rob Lucas, through his office, made the point that there was assistance available for businesses like yours. And I saw some readers' comments along those lines too on the advertiser's website. But I think the other points that need to be made, even though it's true that the assistance is there, firstly, whether the assistance covers the shortfalls that you're experiencing. But second, is it fair to say that assistance, the amount of the assistance, the nature of the assistance, whether the assistance is available or not, Is there a bit of a psychological issue here for people like you who are out under your own steam trying to make a quid, where you've basically just woken up and gone, stuff this for a joke, I'm over it?
Yeah, that's definitely part of it. The assistance package, it's one-off payments. You know, these one-off payments get eaten up very quickly with rent, salaries, making sure my suppliers get paid because, they've all got to eat too. And I think, it's just tough all the way around. Sorry, I just lost my train of thought there. Yeah, there's so much going on. And I think, it's just really tough.
Will you open again?
We definitely will open again. This is a bit of a cry out for help. And it's, something we need to do for our own mental health. And I think it's something that doesn't get looked at enough, especially in the hospitality industry. It's tough for a lot of people in hospitality and retail. And, whilst there's support lines and stuff out there, to pick up the phone and ring, sometimes it's nice to sit face to face and talk to someone about it.
Yeah.
I'm really lucky where we are in Prospect and we get looked after. We have a lot of great customers that come through and, they're always willing for a chat and that's kind of keeps me pepped up. But, the last few weeks, those people have stayed away and I get it. The fear is too great.
Yeah.
I do get that they need to stay away. But
well, mate, all the very best. And I'll tell you, the day you open up, give us a ring and we'll get you on air again and try to urge as many people as possible to pack the joint out. Because as I said, it's a cracking cafe, Komodo Cafe on Prospect Road. Thanks for joining us, Andrew.
Fantastic. Thanks very much, guys. Thank you.
Good on you, Andrew. I reckon that's going to be one of the most difficult challenges for governments around the world to unpack now, is to wind back the fear that's been appropriately built into people over the course of the last couple of years. Because I think restrictions will go away far quicker than the attitude
than
of
human behaviour. Well, as Matt Abraham said, he's quite openly in that category of people who says, I'm just not taking chances. And, I had lunch yesterday, sort of a bit of a semi-work lunch, really, even though I get on really well with the guy socially, with a Liberal politician. And I said, where do you want to go? And he said, well, actually, I know the Prancing Pony Brewery that started up in the hills. Yeah. They only recently opened a Rundle Street branch where we can go in there and try all their excellent micro brews, and they do these Austrian-type pizzas and antipasto plates and stuff. And dead set. The car parks opposite the Stag, where normally, those 2-hour parks?
Yep.
Normally you feel like you've won lotto if you can get one of them in the middle of the day. 20 of them, 30 of them were empty. So I got a Rockstar Park, walked down Rundle Street, and you could have fired a cannon through any restaurant there. There were two other people dining there for lunch. And I was talking to the lady who I think is one of the owners. She said one day after New Year's, their entire day's taking $142. Now, I'm sure she wouldn't mind me saying that because we had a great feed and it was very competitively priced. $44 I paid out of my own pocket for the pizzas. He got a pint for himself and I had a Coke because I was on my third vax and feeling a bit lightheaded, so I didn't want to get on the terps. But these businesses, we got to, and you can sit outside. You can sit on the street. We were sitting outside the entire time, masks on when we went in. Marginally more dangerous, I reckon, than taking your bin out.
15 minutes to 9. Earlier in the program, Michael Smith joined us from 7 News talking flashback. Took us through the memories, the debate, the discussion around the building of the entertainment centre. And we get some terrific memories from some of our listeners. Catherine texted saying she remembers the opening act. The first thing that was there was Torval and Dean in 1991. Well, Peter in Summerton Park has called in as well. And Peter, you had a fair bit to do with the entertainment centre being constructed. Good morning to you.
Yeah, good morning, guys. How are you? Yeah,
good, thanks, mate.
Yeah, good. At the time, I was the design and construction manager for that project, so effectively built it for the contractor. So it was a project that's certainly very, very dear to my heart. It was a terrific project.
We were saying earlier, Peter, even though there's the whole debate about the new centre that the Liberals are proposing and the need to have more bums on seats and that, I still feel like the Ensign has stood the test of time. I saw Taylor Swift there a couple of years ago. It was a cracking night. I went to the Crows Best and Fairest or Hall of Fame dinner last year. It's still a very versatile and pleasant space to be in.
Yeah, look, I'd agree with that, but the problem is being a builder, I also every time I go to it, I look to see if it's cracking and falling apart, and it's actually in very good nick considering the age of the facility.
Was it an engineering challenge at all, Peter, in 91? Because its design is somewhat striking.
There's probably one sort of little memory that I've got that sort of sticks in my mind. There's some very complicated geometry in the corners of the building for some beams that hold up the seating plates. And we had the architect try and work out how to set these out. And, he couldn't work it out, with his 3D software. And then we went to a surveyor who had some fancy 3D software, and he couldn't work out how to do it. And in the end, an old chippy came up with a couple of string lines and worked out the geometry just by going back to basics. It's fantastic.
That's terrific.
So, Pete, were you an engineer your whole career?
Yes, I am. Yep.
Yeah, right. And you're still working?
Yes, I am. Yep.
Any other big buildings you've worked on around town?
Yeah, a few. Adelaide Airport was one that I also had the same role in.
Yeah, right.
The new terminal building. It's just been refurbished. I didn't do the refurbishment, but did the original building, and spent about 7 years, and about 3 of those 7 years at the new Royal Adelaide Hospital, looking after the construction of that.
So in answer to David's question, Peter, you've pretty much built every major thing that's been built in South Australia the last 20 years.
I wouldn't say that. It's a terrific industry to work in. So fantastic.
Good on you, Peter.
It'd be a very
intellectually
rewarding line of work. I reckon it'd be a lot of fun. And as you said, like describing the satisfaction you get from the chippy sitting down and doing it the old way, it's problem-solving sort of work.
Yeah, well, it's like the old saying, isn't it? The two medieval stonemasons, and walk up to one and say, "What are you doing?" You sort of say, "I'm laying stones." You walk up to the other and he says, "I'm building a cathedral." And that's why I've always looked at projects. It's a benefit of what they mean to the general community.
Yeah.
Oh, great call, Peter. Thanks for that, mate. Really appreciate it. Great to speak to you.
All right, thanks, guys.
It's 11 minutes to 9. We're going to check traffic and go behind closed doors very, very shortly. A new and independent home for BMW is now open on Brighton Road. Visit Glenelg BMW today.
In Flagstaff Hill, a car's gone into a house on Flagstaff Road near South Road. Some delays there. Busy too on South Road, Dawes Road, Clovelly Park, also near Crossroad, Black Forest, and some residuals after an earlier smash, Park Terrace in North Adelaide as well. The Amazon back-to-school sale is live now. Shop epic deals on stationery, books and electronics at amazon.com.au today. T's and C's apply. It's Adelaide's most accurate traffic on 5AA.
G'day, it's Jared Walsh for Wayville Mitsubishi. Wow, there's some exciting stuff happening. The iconic Wayville Australian Motors Mitsubishi Service Centre on Goodwood Road is going through a spectacular rebuild. So while that's in progress, please drive into Davenport Lane to drop your vehicle off for servicing. As always, you can expect the very best servicing and repairs, so it's business as usual. Just drive into Davenport Lane to drop your vehicle off to the incredible Wayville service team, driven by Australian Motors.
Right now, SA Ambulance Service has never been busier.
000 ambulance emergency.
So I was fishing on a boat and the hook is stuck in my nose.
But every day, 000 receives more and more trivial calls.
My husband fell down and he's broken his big toe.
Stopping them from getting to the real emergencies.
I've got a really bad jaw pain from brushing my teeth too hard.
For non-emergencies, visit the Health Direct website and save 000 for when it matters.
This is Brad. Brad loves his aircon set to a frosty 16 degrees. But Brad has a problem. He gets the gilts having it on all day. Well, Brad, save your gilts for giving the family frostbite, because NRG Solar gives you electricity guilt-free. Just guilt-free cold air all day long.
Electricity guilt-free with NRG.
Maybe I'll sing next time, Brad. NRGsolar.com.au.
G'day, it's Merv Hughes here. In my day, I loved battling the ponds, but these days, my missus is the enemy. Why? I snore really badly. But she saved the day by sending me for a CPAP Direct sleep test. Now, the snoring is gone, I'm refreshed and revitalised.
CPAP Direct, now open at 600 Port Road, Allenby Gardens. From sleep studies to the latest CPAP gear at Adelaide's best prices. Sale on now.
If you snore or wake up tired, head to cpap.com.au.
9 News is the one that's always been live and local. 9 News, made in Adelaide for Adelaide.
Gliderall Garage Doors, adding strength, safety and style to South Australian homes for over 40 years. Gliderall.com.au.
You're listening to 5AA Breakfast. David Penberthy and Will Goodings.
8 to 9, we're having one of those wonderful, it's great to live in Adelaide moments. Because we just heard from Peter, who was instrumental in designing and building the entertainment centre following Michael Smith's flashback segment earlier. It was great to chat with Peter. And then he did mention one of his enduring memories of the project was there was some really difficult geometry to do in some of the corners of the building, and they went to consultants and people with this fancy 3D software, 2 different groups of people. No one could solve it. In the end, it was a chippy who went up there with a couple of bits of string and managed to solve this problem. Well, the chippy's called in. John from Elizabeth, good morning.
How you going?
We're good, John. How are you, mate?
Yeah, not bad.
Sadly, it's 8:52. We can't get everybody who built the entertainment centre on the show, but we're thrilled that you've rung in, mate. So tell us.
Yeah, well, I had a bit of help too with a few other guys.
Oh no, don't take the credit. Peter gave it to you, John. Do you remember the story he's telling?
Yeah, I only caught the end of it because my wife called me and said they're talking about the old chippy with the string lines at the entertainment centre. Well, I'm not that bloody old, but. Must have been me.
Hey, mate, he suggested you solved a problem that, the smartest supercomputers on Earth couldn't get across.
Well, I just had to make up with those pyramids they're holding the canopy. There was like 2 angles on the same facet, and I had to make a box and sort of work it out inside the box with strings going all different directions, and I had to form plywood to those string lines and try and hold it together.
Unbelievable.
That's fantastic.
A lot to be said for doing things the old way, I think.
Yeah.
Because probably the newer generation of people who've grown up with like computer-aided design and stuff like that might struggle to even know that there's a more analogue way of doing these things.
Yeah, well, the Egyptians built the pyramids without computers, didn't they?
Yeah, 100%. They're still going.
Hey, John, great to chat with you, mate. Thanks for calling in.
No worries, mate.
How about that?
What about that?
We didn't realise we had so many listeners that were integral to the building the entertainment centre.
Blokes like that make me feel inadequate too.
Oh my God!
Because how much maths did you need to do to be able to do that?
Well, but it's everything I
wouldn't enter a building that I had anything to do with.
Oh hell no!
No.
Oh hell no!
I like sketching them and going, could like the idea of space,
right?
But not structure
and never concave.
No, yeah, exactly.
That's an in one for the long-term listeners, that one. So no, we drop in a couple of kernels for people that have been on board for all the years.
For the stayers.
That's right. All right, let's go behind closed doors thanks to Aussie Fast Transport Solutions. They're looking for subcontract drivers right now, so give them a call, 13 13 64. That's 13 13 64.
And when we get behind closed doors,
$13.95, Adelaide's 5AA. This is Richard Pascoe.
And thank you for joining me here on 5AA today, Saturday. A magnificent day here in Adelaide. And what's the weather forecast for today? Let me open up the app on my phone, which is a Samsung Android Galaxy S21 Ultra with 10 times optical zoom quad lens camera and the matte finish glass back in the curved edge-to-edge 6.8-inch screen. And for the first time on a Samsung phone, you get both a QHD plus resolution and 120Hz refresh rate at the same time as well. Really great. Fine and hot today with a top of 29 degrees as well. We're going to be talking about prostate problems today. That's right up my alley because the examination for prostate problems is digital and I'm the Adelaide tech guy. Although I will be pronouncing it prostrate from time to time, and maybe you can text in and tell me when I say prostrate instead of prostate as well. You can ring in and talk to me on 8223 0000. Let's talk to Steve from Paralowie. Hello, Steve.
Oh, g'day, Richard. Richard, I've got a Windows laptop. It's running Windows 7. Can I update that to Windows 11?
No, you can't, Steve.
Oh.
It won't update from 7 to 11. You're stuck with it.
Oh, okay. No worries. Thanks, Richard.
Thanks, Steve. Hello, Jan.
Oh, hello, Richard. I've got an Android phone, Richard, and my messages have stopped working.
Yeah, that happens. Just go into your settings, Jan, on the Android and find network connection and hit reset. That'll fix it.
All right. Okay, thanks, Richard.
Okay, no worries. If you do have a problem with anything to do with your tech gear, phones or computers, give me a call. I can help out because I'm the Adelaide Tech Guy. Hello, Jeff.
Oh, g'day, Richard. My MacBook Pro won't start up properly.
It won't start up, yeah.
Oh, it starts up, but then there are things missing. And
Yeah, I'd try resetting the PRAM.
Oh, yeah. How do I do that?
First of all, shut it down.
Yep.
Then restart the computer and hold down Command, Option, and the P and R buttons. Hold those 4 keys down while it restarts.
Right, okay. Okay, Command, Option, P and R. Yep.
And hold them down for 20 seconds while it starts up.
Right.
That should fix it up for you.
Okay, I'll try that. Thanks, Richard.
No worries at all. I'm here to help because I'm the Adelaide Tech Guy. 8223 0000 is my number. If you've got a problem you want fixed. Now, I was going to go to an ad break, but something's gone wrong with the system here, so I'll have to wait until someone can come in and fix that for me.
I think the person that came in to fix it was our very own Sam Daddo, who was producing for Richard at the time. He's our resident 5AA breakfast tech guy.
And as we found out this morning, a highly trained pilot.
And a pilot.
There
He really can do it all. Okay, it's time for Headline.
Push harder, Premier. Pregnant mum's message to Marshall over birth fiasco.
Oh, yeah. That one felt
You'd
good,
run
didn't
that.
it? That was right out of the middle of the
I would
map.
happily run that in 180 point on the front page tomorrow. Push harder, Premier.
Hey, we're out of time. Stick around for Leon Biner, and we'll catch you tomorrow morning from 6 o'clock.